XboxEra is about to enter its 5th year, and that's all thanks to you. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course XboxEra.com, chock full of the latest news, reviews and more, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcast listened to in over 50 countries across the planet, our own digital store for games and codes, our merch store for the coolest of Xbox threads, and of course Day One, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. XboxEra is built for you, and it's completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can support us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us build the next 5 years of XboxEra. Thank you for your support.
XboxEra haven't been to journalism school and have zero credibility, so they're borrowing some of mine. XboxEra is only made possible by those of you who truly believe. The XboxEra team would like to thank all our patrons, but especially our executive producers. Assassin Entertainment, Crow at 56, Jordan White, Corkenstein, Kevin S., Law Pell, Not Jack, Top, and Torn Raptor. You guys give us hope. Fear can make you a prisoner. Hope can set you free. You guys are fucking awesome.
Hello friends, and welcome to episode 206 of the XboxEra podcast. If you like what we do, you can head to patreon.com/XboxEra to support us directly. This week is a special episode because not only am I joined by the wonderful and the incredibly Australian Special Nick.
What's going on?
And of course Jesse.
Hello, I'm fixing Nix's camera position because it got reversed on me. Hi everybody, how you doing?
We've got a very special guest, the star of stage and screen, the voice actor that is more prolific and has been in more things than I possibly realised when I looked him up on Wikipedia, Abubakar Salim. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. This is exciting.
It is. It's very exciting for us. Now, it's amusing to me because Nick loves video games, right? But perhaps isn't the wisest of fellows. Love you, Nick. And he was like, so, you know, he's the voice actor of Bayek. And I was like, and he's been in Napoleon and like that sci-fi show and this thing. And he was like, what? It's like, this is a famous person, my friend. It's a famous person on the podcast. He was like, oh, wow.
Oh, wow, man. Hey, listen, that's good, man. That means I'm doing my job right. You don't recognize me.
Right. And this is the crazy thing.
You in the medium that matters, in video.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, there you go.
This is what I love. Video games are awesome. And it's fair to say that you're a big fan of video games because not only are you star of stage and screen and prolific voice actor across all of these games that people know and love, you started a studio.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's been crazy.
As you do.
As you do. As you casually do. Do you know, like, you know what I mean? It's one of those ones where I was just like, I don't know what came over me. I think I love the idea of being like, yeah, I'm gonna make a game and it's gonna be really, really cool and awesome and it's gonna be my game. Little did I know how crazy difficult it is to run a studio. It is nuts. It is nuts.
I want to know all the tales. Like where rewind. Let's rewind a little bit. So before we get to that story, because I sense that's going to be a broad tale. You love video games, and that much is evident by the fact that you've started a studio. So, you know, you're an actor, and you got to do both voice work and film, TV, stage, etc. What passion came first? Like, how did you end up in the position to indulge in the love of this hobby as well as doing all of these things that you're good at?
So I always say this. I say I kind of got into acting through video games. So when I was growing up as a kid, I didn't really necessarily like much of the TV I was watching because it just didn't really kind of resonate with me. I'm dyslexic, so reading books took ages. It took a while to kind of get through them.
Wow.
So playing games was essentially just it connected with me. It was my vibe, and I think I remember my dad. It was at that time as well where people, when you were playing games as a kid, it was like seen as a bad thing, right? It was seen as like, oh, it's such a waste of time. Whereas my dad was he was a software engineer, and I think he was kind of cool with it. He was like, this is actually pretty fun, and my son's enjoying it, so just let him do his thing. So I kind of really kind of dived into games that way, and the storytelling aspect of it, the fact that you are literally going on these journeys with these characters in their shoes essentially, and experiencing their evolution as you go along, that to me really resonated with me as a kid. And I think that's kind of what got me into this idea of wanting to play these characters in like real life to a degree. And did drama at school, did all that kind of stuff, but still like avidly played games, but only behind closed doors, because it still was kind of like it wasn't a cool thing. But I had all my mates who played games, and all my mates online as well who played games. So it was only really until I actually played Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins where I realized, oh wow, you can actually have a career in games. And like meeting all these people who are making this game. And I was very much kind of play testing a lot, kind of getting an idea of like what this new Assassin's Creed was going to be. Because when they told me it was going to be very different to the old Assassin's Creeds, I was like, well, then I've got to know how different, because I'm a fan of Assassin's Creed. Yeah. So I want to know
what are you doing to my game?
What are you actually going to be? What are you going to be doing to this? As well as at the same time, the film was coming out at the same time as us filming Assassin's Creed Origins, and I remember watching the film and thinking, great, I'm going to be the guy who kills this fucking franchise.
Wait. I'm getting confused. There was an Assassin's Creed film. That was Fassbender, wasn't it? I get it confused with Gyllenhaal in Prince of Persia, because they kind of just blend together Ubisoft classics for me.
I remember watching this film, and I remember thinking, this is how I kill this franchise. I'm going to be remembered as the worst assassin in the world who killed Assassin's Creed, because this film is terrible. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But the thing is that it really kind of opened my mind to the idea of, okay, you can actually have a career in games. You can actually make games, and a lot of the people who are making these games are passionate about it, man. Like they love it and they adore it. And I think like that really sort of was the seed setter for like thinking, I can do this,
Brilliant.
That's cool. Origins is great. Don't worry about that. Origins is good.
Yeah, it was. Thank God it was, because I honestly I just remember being like, oh great, they're doing something different, and the film is terrible. This game has to do something, because otherwise this franchise is dead. It's finished.
I think you nailed it, right? Because certainly from my recollection, I haven't played every Assassin's Creed in the world. Like I have played the one that you're in. Is it Origins or Odyssey? I get them confused. There's quite a few of them. And,
there's only like 19. It's not that many.
There's only right.
I'm not even making that up.
But your performance as Bayek was very widely regarded and loved, right? So that must be extreme. Like to come through that feeling of I'm going to kill the franchise to everyone loves Bayek. That must feel pretty good, right? To be at the other end.
It felt lovely, man, and it felt great because, again, as I said, like I'm a massive Assassin's Creed fan. So then to be able to play like the assassin in like a franchise that I love, it was nuts. It was like going into it's like getting the lead role in like a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was really cool, and I think like one of those ones where I just. It was, I think we were filming or like working on it for a good solid like 2-3 years. Like it was long.
Oh, wow.
And but the whole time I don't think I've ever felt so desperate to actually get a role before, and so happy to have had a role. Because I think like even like, and look, don't get me wrong, I've loved and feel so fortunate having worked on like Raised by Wolves, and with Ridley Scott, and then even now doing House of the Dragon. But that feeling of when getting Assassin's Creed, it was so surreal, man. Like it was like really like, oh man, I've made it. Like, you know.
Yeah, it must be
and
like...
that shines through, though. That shines through because Bayek, I think, was the first time when the lead or when the assassin was sort of... Like, I know reading reviews back then, in the earlier Assassin's Creed games, you didn't hear much about, I guess, the performance of the lead. But I feel like Origins was the first time that the reviewers were like, man, Bayek was this unbelievable character in Assassin's Creed. It's the first time that the character has been, you know, very prominent and very notable, I guess. I don't know if that's even the right word, but yeah, your performance there was really highlighted a lot in reviews, I felt.
I think they had some dips from, because like Ezio in 2, that trilogy. Then after that, it was kind of struggling. Connor was a little boring overall because of the writing and just how long everything took. And until Origins, it had been sort of searching for a new Ezio level and protagonist, and they finally found that again.
Yeah, it was great fun, man. It was super fun. And yeah, and it just was, as I say, like that was really truly the beginnings of learning what it means to get into try and start a game studio, or like, what it takes to make a game to a degree. Like, just seeing again, I think it was the passion that people just had was really inspiring. It was inspiring enough for me to kind of be like, okay, you know what, maybe I can, if people are as passionate about this, then, in this kind of setting, let me, try and do something and inspire that same, passion to make something really, really cool. So yeah, it was, that's kind of that journey as we've gone along. And I think I only really gained the confidence to actually start something after having someone like Ridley Scott say like, yeah, you're good. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I can.
Pretty good affirmation.
You're okay.
Right?
You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, maybe I am.
Is there a big difference in your eyes? Like you mentioned, was it 3 years you were working on Assassin's Creed? Like in terms of, did you do mocap and stuff like that? Or was
I did mocap and everything, man. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Would you say that there's a big difference? If there's anyone watching or listening in the coming days ahead on Spotify, etc., there's plenty of people that aspire to do all sorts of things in video games. If I rewind, I think I probably speak for the whole panel here. We often had dreams of like, maybe we'll make these one day.
Yeah.
Having done some dev work, I'm like, no, I don't want to see how the sausage is made. I'd rather just play the end thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. But from a voice acting perspective and things of that nature, would you say that is there an easy way or an easier route in to do voice acting in gaming? Because I think a lot of gamers, we've talked a lot, we hear Troy Baker, we hear these similar voices a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you'd think that there'd be more variety out there in terms of some bigger names. Like, is there any advice?
Yeah, I think that there's a turn at the moment. I think there is a change within the industry right now where you're getting a lot of it's becoming a lot more accessible to like, especially with actors. I think like when it comes to especially voice work as well, a lot of the kind of the schools, drama schools and everything, it's being taken seriously now. I think beforehand it wasn't necessarily seen as a thing, even though there was tons of voice actors out there and tons of like, motion capture, performance artists, tons of actors out there who wanted to work in games. Essentially, it wasn't taken as seriously, and people were almost afraid, like, oh, if I do like a video game, it's going to tarnish my work or my career or my CV if I want to get into a film. And actually, it's having the opposite effect now. It's it's almost like to do a game is really cool because you now know about a world that not many people do, especially after the success of things like The Last of Us, or even like, Mario, the Mario film. It's like, it's almost like, actually, you need to be listening to people who know about games and about that space because
it's kind
of big. You know what I mean? It's a big audience. And so I think like that's that's where we're sort of leaning into, I feel. And I think like, there is a change. I think ultimately it's all about just continuing to I mean, especially from my front, like in my mind, with my, the games that we want to make and conjure, like I want to invite as many voices as possible and kind of, bring it to as many people as possible, because I think that's the beauty of games, right?
Yeah.
If I can convince 10 people, for example, to play Ciao who've never played a video game before, then I've won. Because it's like, yeah, you've never played a game before, now you see the power of it, now you want to make it, and you will inspire other people as well. And I think that's just going to happen more and more. So I know for a fact that my agent was very much like, yes, an Assassin's Creed gig, and he likes games, but he was like, yeah, I'm sure it's just going to be a good thing to do. I don't think he expected it to be like as big as it became. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Well, it's inspiring.
You're right in that there is, and that, and I think it is subsiding now. There is this massive stigma, and they're nerds, geeks. I remember vividly. I think Henry Cavill was on the Graham Norton show, and they were mocking him effectively, trying to make him look like a nerd by talking about Warhammer and his love for PC gaming and Warhammer. And I'm sitting there like, dude's got a hobby. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
And I think now, like, I remember reading a lot of the comments on there, like people like chill out. It's Henry Cavill. He can do what he likes,
Yeah.
And you read about, like, what does Henry Cavill like to do? I like to build really powerful PCs and play The Witcher. Cool. And I think it's nice for people, people that are watching and video game fans out there, that it's becoming more accepted to be into this medium, because the average age of a gamer nowadays is, well, old like us. I mean, I was really sad. I saw your birth year. I'm not going to reveal it. People can Google that for themselves. I'm 10 years your senior, young man. Like, do you know what I mean? I feel old as shit.
That means I'm like way older. Man.
Oh, great. Man, but yeah, so you've gone on that journey, and now you've done this crazy thing. You've started a video game studio in this climate. So before we get into the tale of creating it, I wanted to get your thoughts, like, especially in the current climate. We've seen all the news, right? And as a video game fan, I'm sure you've read it too. The industry's going through a bit of a moment, right? So does that concern you at all as you're going out on this adventure? Bearing in mind, it's obviously been around for a while, because you haven't been making you haven't been making Ciao in a month. No, you've been experiencing this
4 years.
Wow.
You know what? It's a funny one, because I think that it's what is happening now is this weird shift and change that is going to essentially make the industry stronger. And what I mean by this is, like, I think, like, what we are witnessing, and this is the beauty of the games industry, and what I've learned and what I really love about it, is how fast it changes and adapts and evolves, in the sense that, I look at the film and TV industry, and don't get me wrong, love the film and TV industry. It's very strong, but it's very set in its ways, and it's very kind of, it's very hard to get into. It's very hard to do anything really to change the film and TV space. Whereas within games, it's like, elements of these layoffs, for example, that are kind of currently going on, people are disgusted by it. They're angered by it. They're moved by it, and they want to make it and want to make a change, and are inspired to make a change. In film and TV, man, it's brutal, and it still is the same thing, and it still happens the same way, and I think, like, it's one of those ones where I'm like, actually, we're in a moment of change. We're in a moment of people realizing that spending $200 million dollars on a stupid live service game is like, it's just a waste of money on resource, when you could, people make that, with 200,000 pounds, for example, could make a really cool game, and that could do whatever, like, you know what I mean? It's much more inspiring that way. And I think, like, we're in this space now where, especially with with gamers and people who actually play these games, they're respectful of that, and they're aware of that. And I think, like, that's the thing that I'm sort of seeing. Whereas a lot of the time, with film and TV, very much so, you've always got these middlemen, or the kind of you got the people who create the film and whatever and do whatever they need to. Then you've got the bean counters who are deciding as to whether this is actually, what they think is going to be a better film and what's going to work. So they cut it and edit it to crap.
The ones that usually ruin stuff, basically.
This is it, right? And then literally, then it goes, goes out there and it does whatever, and you're like, you watch and you're like, that isn't my film. Whereas the beauty of games is actually you have a lot of control. Depending on where you are, especially indies, you have a lot of control as to what you kind of want to put out there. Like, for example, like I remember when I was telling people like, yeah, I'm working with EA and the originals team, on this, and they're like, oh my God, EA, like they're going to just kill your game and do whatever. And I tell you one thing, they've allowed me to basically make mistakes and allowed me to try crazy things and see if it works or not, because they want to champion indie titles. And so and it's because of that, we were able to be like, yeah, I want Swahili voiceover. And they're like, we've never done Swahili voiceover. We've never done that. And I'm like, let's do it. So they're like, okay, cool. We're just gonna. So it's like, you know what I mean? So I think like that's the thing. I think that the games industry, whereas if I was to even suggest the idea of like bringing in like Swahili actors or different actors within the film space, a lot of the time they'll be like, yeah, but they're not going to bring the money though, are they? Do you know what I mean? So it's like that's what I love about the games industry. It's like how it champions art. It really does. Like really, the majority of players out there champion art. They want something really cool and something to be really awesome. That's why when you see a lot of live service games, it is kind of a bit like whatever. Like people forget like Fortnite failed when it launched at the beginning. Then they had to really change up their game.
They ripped off PUBG.
They had to copy PUBG.
They had to change their game, man. And now it's become this. It's crazy. Like, what is Fortnite? Like, people are watching Travis Scott on it. Like, it's like, what is this? So
Nick is a big Fortnite fan.
He spent many millions of dollars in Fortnite.
This is it. But this is it. It's like I think this is where what we're sort of, or where we are now. I feel like, it's terrifying and it's scary. And I think also, social media has a great way of amplifying a lot of things that are scary, but not. Do you know what I mean? At the same time, but really, truly, I do feel like we're at a time now where the change is going to be beautiful, because it's going to, it's going to really inspire people to actually act and do. I mean, it got me to where I'm at now. Like I decided I wanted to make a game and, start a game studio, and I got an EA deal and I'm making this thing.
It's nuts.
I kind of tell this to my friends, like in the film space, I'm like, if I wanted to do the same caliber of work that I want, or went to strive for that in the film space, even after working with Ridley Scott and doing it will never happen. Yeah. Like it's so weird. It's such a weird industry, which is why I love the games industry. It's so accessible.
Yeah, so, we look at games like what's come out recently, Bulwark from Thomas Sala. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Solo dev, right? Just worked on it on his own for 3 years, and he's released a game that's being loved by the majority of players. Balatro, which I found out the other day is pronounced Balatro. I was like, whoa, whoa.
Well, he's Italian,
Balatro?
It might be an accent.
Balatro, I don't know.
Balatro.
But like, I love indie games, and I think Nick, you were talking the other week about how disappointed we all were that Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, right, which is another Metroidvania,
so good,
released and didn't do as well as it should have done, because as like people get attracted by the pretty lights of. Well, my camera's being weird. The pretty lights of AAA gaming, but indie gaming and passion projects are where you get the art. That's where you get the real art come through. And it's not to dismiss anyone working on AAA games, but I completely agree. Like the medium now is so broad and so vast that we can get unique pieces of different cultures just delivered to us, and we didn't even know we wanted them, and boom.
Didn't even know, right? And that's the beauty of it all, man. That's what I love about it. Like it's just. As I say, it's so accessible. Like you can do it. Like the thing is like if you really wanted to, you can actually do it. And I think like that's what's so great about it. Whereas like with film and TV, or even theater to a degree, it's hard, man. Like, you're gonna have a lot of people who you don't even know stopping you from doing what you want to do, really.
It also reminds me, and not to big up XboxEra. Obviously, we might look great and professional and look like the brand looks really big and huge, but we're very small. We're very small, and that's why we're so humbled that you're here. But very similar story is we were like, the industry needs better coverage of this platform, Xbox, because look, we'll be honest, Xbox, it. They're the smallest platform, arguably, between Nintendo and PlayStation, right? And we were like, oh, this is really irritating for people that actually like playing here. And we started this, and we've worked for 5 years this year, just slowly building it up. And people just assume when they look at us at first glance that we're bigger. We get comments like, oh, you've only got 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. Why are you not bigger? And it's like, yeah, we pretend to look like this really massive company, but really we're just a bunch of dudes making mistakes, learning as we go. And trying to do something we love.
But to be honest, that's kind of also, the part of the trick, right? It's like, fake it till you make it. Like, you know what I mean?
You see my background, it looks all nice. But if I go in that direction, it's just my house. It's just my kitchen. There's my wife. It's just our house.
My wife.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
My wife.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Can I ask a seemingly boring question, but I'm just genuinely curious about the answer. So you started Surgent.
Yes.
But Surgent's not just the game studio, is it?
No. Ooh. No, it's film, TV, comic, basically transmedia. Essentially, because I'm very much the way I kind of see it is like I grew up playing Pokemon on my Game Boy while watching the TV show and then collecting the cards. So I'm like, why don't I want to do this myself? So it's like, this is kind of like, I'm that kind of generation. So I'm like, we kind of look at the way we kind of go around it is we essentially are like, what is the story that we want to tell and what's the best medium that suits it? So for example, like you look at Ciao, I really wanted to tell a story that respected my journey and my love for my father, how he got me into games, and the kind of games that he got me, that I remember playing with him, like Sonic and all that kind of stuff. Respectful of essentially where he comes from and the culture of that element of it all, and the stories that he used to tell me as a kid. So Ciao had to be a Metroidvania, because to me that is the exact way, that's the perfect depiction of grief. The idea of throwing a character in a world that they have no idea about, and they have to kind of get these abilities, and the longer you spend time in it, the more comfortable you get, because you never really accept it to a degree. And that is essentially a Metroidvania, and that's essentially grief. So like it had to be that. So, and that's why we wanted to tell that story that way. However, the other stories that we want to tell, could be a film, and there's a reason why we're telling it in a film, in a film space, or there's a reason why we're doing it a stage. And that's something that I really love, is like the power of storytelling, and then using the right medium to tell it well. So we do film, we do I've literally actually, funnily enough, there is going to be I just recently finished directing for the first time a short film with Ridley Scott's crew, and kind of like, it's like, as you do, but it's all linked to essentially why we're doing what we're doing. And I think like this is the thing that I really wanted to kind of, again, just play with, is this idea of telling stories for all these different spaces. So yeah, Surgent is a bigger sort of beast, but I think my love for games has really kind of made me pour a lot of my attention into, I'd love to open it with essentially a game. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is who we are, what we do. And
that is amazing.
As a first-time director on a short film, did you make sure to go on a tirade and throw a shit fit and just lose it at people? What are you doing?
And whenever anyone asked me a question, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is my set. Leave.
Are these your lights? Oh, did I walk across your lights?
Just go all Christian Bale and just be like,
honestly. You don't know what you're talking. Do you respect me? Yeah, basically that's all I was doing the whole time.
Oh, man.
Now, I need to ask, because as we've discovered, you're just a little bear compared to us. Now, what was your first gaming console? What did you grow up with?
Oh, Mega Drive.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, Mega Drive, man. It's the Mega Drive. My dad got me the
Sega
got me the Mega
fanboy.
Drive. Yeah, Sega. Yeah,
Hardcore
man.
Sega
I had the
fanboy growing up,
full
mate.
Tower of Power. We had the whole thing.
Wow.
During the war, I played on the BBC Micro, and it was brilliant. Yeah, okay, you guys
Yeah,
went to
man.
Mega Drives.
Mega Drive, man.
No, I
16
had the
bits.
Master System. I had the Master System first, so the one
Oh, right,
before
okay.
the
Yeah.
Mega Drive. Because strangely, the Master System outsold the NES in Australia. Somehow it was
Really?
more popular in Australia. Yeah, I love the Master
wow.
System, and then the Mega Drive was like, oh my god! And
It was amazing. It was
Sonic the
great.
Hedgehog and Streets of Rage 2.
my
And
God.
I just, oh man, the
Yeah, man.
memories on the Mega Drive just,
Hit
I'm
well.
so glad you said Mega Drive.
Yeah, Mega
I'm
Drive.
so glad you said it.
You know what was so I remember getting the Mega Drive, and you know my dad got me the Mega Drive, and I loved this machine, man. I loved it. I was playing it all the time. My mum was kind of a bit like, I don't understand why this kid is obsessed with this thing, and
Yeah.
really coming from an African family, the port of call when when your kid is doing something that they shouldn't, you feel like they shouldn't be doing in a way, they send it to Africa. So my mother sent my Mega Drive to Kenya for my family to play. And I remember discovering this, and I remember thinking to myself, oh man.
Oh my
Just set your
god!
entire console and all the games.
I know. I mean, the thing is though, she was like trying to be like, look, you gotta learn, like this isn't life. Like there is so much more. Anyway, my dad, being my dad, was like, listen, I ain't going against the beast. Like this is essentially,
Oh, that's amazing.
you know what, don't worry about it. Just take it now. I'll get you another one. So yeah, we were able to get it. But I remember so vividly my mother sending my Mega Drive to my family in Kenya. And then when we went to visit them, seeing them playing it, and I remember just thinking, oh man, this feels
You
weird.
wanted to bash him,
Jerks.
just touching your Mega Drive.
Honestly. And they don't even know what they're doing.
Oh man,
Man,
Let's go.
if you had said Super Nintendo, I don't think we could have been friends.
Oh really? No,
Nick's a
man.
big
Mate.
Sega.
Oh,
Big
mate,
Sega
that
fanboy.
was peak console war back in the day. Mega Drive versus Super Nintendo. My God, that was like, man, I don't know how it was in the UK, but it was full on down here. Like I remember, I had a mate of mine who was a Nintendo kid, so he had the Super Nintendo, and I remember, Street Fighter was like the Street Fighter console release was just the biggest thing back then.
Right.
And I remember we were going through a video game magazine because there was no internet and there was no, gaming websites and stuff. So we're flipping through a magazine, and my mate sees this 2-page spread ad for Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo. And it's like, and back then, video game advertising didn't give a shit. They didn't care about what they said. They didn't care about what they showed.
The good stuff.
They didn't care about anything. So it's just like Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo. Mega Drive owners, dream on. And he's just grabbed this 2-page ad and shoved it in my face. He's like, dream on, dream on. I'm like, oh, I just wanted to kick the shit out of him. I was so angry.
Oh,
Because I
console
just
wars.
love Street Fighter.
Oh man,
God.
it's like they're like, it's so funny. I think a lot of people think like, oh, it began with like PlayStation and Xbox. I'm like, no, this has been going on for ages. Like,
Yeah.
like
And
been
it's
big.
as dumb then as it is now,
Yes.
right?
Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's great.
But we were kids. We were dumb kids at least.
Yeah, you had an excuse, Nick.
Yeah,
He
that's
had an
right.
excuse.
Does that mean you graduated though? Did you do the traditional path? So you went Mega Drive, then Sega Saturn,
Yes.
and then yes,
Dude, I was like, that was like the thing. But then I remember going. I started going everywhere. Then it went like to
Yes,
the Game
me
Boy,
too.
then like the N64, then the PlayStation.
Oh, the 64.
2, and then 64 is great. GameCube is such a like. I actually think the GameCube is an underrated man.
It is.
Like,
Oh,
console.
the GameCube. Yes, of course it is.
Yo, man, it was amazing. But yeah, so the GameCube, and then Xbox 360, and then all that kind of stuff. Like, so
Did
yeah,
you get a Dreamcast? Tell me you got a Dreamcast.
so this is the so I didn't. I was honestly, and I remember really wanting a Dreamcast. I really wanted a Dreamcast, specifically for, I think it was for Sonic. It was a Sonic, was it Sonic Battle 1?
Sonic Adventure?
Sonic Adventure, yeah. So that was on the Dream. And I remember like a mate of mine next door had a Dreamcast. And so I would go to his to watch him play on his Dreamcast. And I'd be like, why have I not got this Dreamcast? Like this is my moment. And yeah, it just didn't come to fruition. It was really, I mean, like I had like all the Game Boy SPs. I think maybe because I was just getting all the the Game Boy Advances, the Game Boy SPs, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, whereas, and it's gaming is an expensive hobby. But
yes, it is.
Yes,
that's the nice thing with the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
You buy the Dreamcast and a CD burner, and then you just had all their games because they had terrible security.
yeah, that's right.
Honestly, man.
The piracy was rampant on the Dreamcast. It was full on. But man, you missed out. It was just unbelievable console. It was Sega at their best.
Their arcade systems in your house, just straight up for like the first time. No compromises, really.
It was so good. I mean, the Saturn, I was very fond of. I still have my Saturn. I was very fond of my Saturn, but the Dreamcast is just it's my favorite console of all time.
Outside of favorite consoles, though, like, and outside of the Assassin's Creed that you're in, favorite video game series or game of all time?
Oh man,
do you have one?
That's a difficult question.
Gun
That's
to
a
your
very
head,
difficult
like
question.
I know it is. It's just, this is the show. This is difficult questions. It's time for them to ask them. The real burning issues. Like if you had gun to your head.
You know what's funny, right? You said that, and there was two that came to mind, and then I'm only gonna, and I think I don't know why they came to mind, because there's so many games, right? There's like, I love, as I mentioned on the Cable Wars, that was like my moment to be like, I'm gonna plug these three games because I'll never have the chance to ever do it again. It was Kingdom Hearts, Golden Sun, and Gmod. But when you asked that question, funnily enough, the first thing that came to mind was the Warcraft series, like World of Warcraft, and Red Alert.
Command and Conquer Red Alert.
Command and Conquer.
Good choice.
Yeah. Wow.
A fine choice.
I don't know what it was. There was something about Command and Conquer that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, very fond memories of 1v1ing friends.
Yeah, and then with Warcraft, I think that really got me into the idea of long form storytelling in a way, because you had Warcraft 1, 2, then and 3, and then World of Warcraft, and it's like that really sort of brought me into this whole like, oh man, this is like a cool universe. Like, dive in and play into. So,
there's lore.
Yeah, but like there's so many though, man. Like I like Tekken. I grew up with Tekken, like for example, and that was a series that I really enjoyed playing with, like my family and friends.
Virtua Fighter. Hello.
Well, this is it, man. Like, oh, my fighter. Okay.
Virtua Fighter. You had a Saturn.
Shimizu, man.
What do you mean you're saying Tekken? You had a Saturn.
No,
mate.
Yeah, but I still like Tekken was my vibe, man. Tekken was my vibe.
Oh,
honestly.
like a dagger. Straight to
Too brute.
Listen, Street Fighter is great, okay? And I love Street Fighter, but there's just something about Tekken. Do you know what I mean? It's like
there's a reason there's a Tekken 8. There's Tekken fans out there and they love
like
it.
A Southern Fried Chicken burger or like a normal, beef burger. Tekken's the beef burger. You've got the, Street Fighter's a beautiful burger and it's gonna taste, slightly clean. See, there you go. There's my boy Jin.
They sent this to me.
Were you not
so
into Virtua Fighter? Were you not into Virtua Fighter?
Time. No. Like okay, it wasn't a waste of time. That was a bit harsh. Maybe that was the gamer in me that came out. I need to be a bit more. Look, Virtual Fighters, it was okay, but like, nah, man. You know what actually has now sort of in my head is I think, well, they don't do it anymore. I mean, they do, but not really. It's for me it was Dragon Ball Z, Budokai. And then that was really
that
fun.
Sparking Burst is coming soon. They're essentially
I'm
bringing it back.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. I kind of enjoyed the classic, 2D fighters rather than the whole like 3D sort of like I'm going now fighting here and everywhere. Like
you play Fighter
good,
Z.
but... Yeah, Fighter Z is good.
Yeah.
Fighter Z is great.
And they gave a rollback netcode. You can actually play it online now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Know that.
Still supporting it.
Yeah, but I love Fire Z. So yeah, but yeah, it's so this is the thing. So this is when you ask that series question, it's like, man, there's so many. There's
What do I
really
pick?
like there's so many.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think
I'd
every
say
gamer
it's-
struggles to pick one because there's so many different worlds.
It's very hard. There's a lot of great games, but I find it fascinating that you listed like World of Warcraft and a lot of JRPGs as games
Yeah.
you love, and then you've ended up making a Metroidvania.
I know. It's and I think the reasoning behind that is because the kind of the story that I wanted to tell, which is about grief, like I could have a lot of the time I think I experience, or when I play games, you feel like the story is kind of just thrown on top of a game, and it's like, and it feels like it doesn't marry or make sense. The
Yeah.
only people I feel generally who've been able to, funnily enough, kind of master that is Hazelight with like It Takes Two or like A Way Out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these get like Joseph is like it, and the developers are just geniuses in regards to like being like, look, we've got a really cool story to tell, and it makes sense in the kind of you know, with the gameplay of
we've long waxed lyrical about and we the remake of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons came out earlier this year. How Hazelight or Josef Fares he tells the narrative through the gameplay, because gaming is interactive, and that's what's unique and great about it. And that moment in the game, man, that's the first video game ever to genuinely make me cry.
And this is it. So, and like, you know, and even like you look at like Hellblade, for example, like, you know, and like that is a, you know, brilliant way of using the medium to actually tell it, you know, to tell a story. So even though I'm a massive, you know, sort of like JRPG fan and you know, kind of, again, even like there's an element of you know, real-time strategy kind of games as well. Ciao had to be told as a Metroidvania because of the content that I wanted to tell it, you know, and how I wanted it to go with. And I think, you know, and it's, you know, from everything from like, you know, even the mask switching, for example, is supposed to represent this idea of when you're going through the journey of grief, it almost feels like the world is your oyster. You could do whatever you want, but you're still living in this world that you feel like, I feel so isolated and alone in. The mask switching is really there to be like, okay, I'm going to wear this mask to get through the day here. I'm going to wear this mask to get through the day there, because there's no, you know, because there's no other, truly, if you show the real you feel very vulnerable. So like, that's, you know, that was an element of that. The feeling of being able to, you know, go through all these like little secrets and nooks and crannies and everything is because that's what grief kind of does. It reveals these elements and things that you never even thought of or knew or even kind of were planning. It will sometimes hit you. Like I remember certain, you know, songs which I wouldn't even pay attention to back in the day would trigger something now simply because my father passed away. And I would have, you know, and I think like that's elements of those kind of stuff that really are perfectly sort of captured in a Metroidvania, rather than like an open world RPG where you are, you know, you're kind of almost, it's weird. I think with open worlds, you are incentivized to explore and it's kind of okay. Whereas in Metroidvanias, you're supposed to explore, but there's always a sense of danger because you have no idea what the hell is going around that corner. You know what I mean? And I think like that's the difference that I kind of really wanted to capture with this, you know?
Man, it sounds it sounds incredible, and I love it when game development marries story well with gameplay, right? And that sounds exactly what you're going for. But
did either of you guys play the demo? Because I did in preparation, because I'll be doing the review. No pressure. It marries those ideals with very good gameplay. So that is one of those things.
I have a Mac.
Yeah.
Did you make a Mac version?
No, man.
Yeah.
no one makes a Mac
He
version.
complains,
bro.
doesn't have enough money. All
Come
these
on,
things,
mate.
spent 20 grand
You want to
Australian
reach
on Macs.
the most gamers. A lot of gamers here on Mac.
Okay, all right.
Ignore him. He's a fool. I haven't played a demo because I knew
Not to
that
call
the full
either
game
of
was
you
coming,
out.
and I like to, you know, when I've got the whole thing in front of me.
Yeah.
Metroidvanias, there's a moment that comes, and it happens with every single one. You know, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the first Ori, the recent Prince of Persia. It comes out, and I'm like, goodbye, and that's me for like a couple of days, right? Because it's
I'm
just
gone.
yeah, it's
I'm
just
just
I've
gone.
got to find everything.
When
but
Prince
rewinding
of Persia
slightly.
Nick literally was like 30, 40 hours straight to just get everything done in like a week.
Oh,
He won
I
100%
love
of the game.
I have to
No,
100% them. I have to 100% them. I did it for Ori. I did it in Metroid Dread. I did it in Prince of Persia. I have to 100% them. Like,
Wow.
not many games take me away from Rocket League and Fortnite, but the Metroidvanias, when they come, they're the ones that do it.
They're the ones
It's
that do.
just,
It's always annoying to hear that because of all the games I give you. And then you never play any of them.
yeah, I know, but oh
dear.
man, there's so, and there's almost an element like when I don't know how to describe it because maybe I'm just not eloquent enough, but when I finish a Metroidvania, there's almost a feeling of, I don't know if it's sadness, I don't know if it's emptiness. Like I want to
feel
go
you.
back to the start when it's fresh again and just gain everything again.
Do it
It's
all
just-
again, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
I hate it when
As
the
if-
world's
as like
over.
new. Yeah.
They're so
Yeah.
good. They're just so
And it's one of those ones as well
so
that you
good.
can, when you can, you know, I know there's new game pluses and everything, but once you've experienced it that first time, that once, you can never get that again.
Yeah.
You know
Nah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Nah.
like,
That's the
I
beauty
know
of
what you
that's the
mean.
beauty of these experiences, right? When you look back on the memories of them and then just be like, oh man, that was really good.
Yeah.
I want to rewind a little bit. So, 4 years you've been working with your team on this grand endeavor, doing it for the first time, and as you said earlier in the show, making mistakes and working with EA. What's that process been like for you? Like that journey of discovery of taking effectively lines of code and artists and different ideas and design and music and voice acting and all of that, and marrying it together to now 4 years later at the end of that journey, looking at that finished product going,
Honestly, it's so surreal. Even to the point of when announcing the game at the Game Awards and showing the world the trailer, the game was still in heavy development of being like, we don't know if this game is a game yet. It was like, even though everything, well, this is it. And even though everything we showed, we were like, because we were very adamant, like with every trailer that we do, it has to be gameplay. Even when we were revealing it, has to show gameplay. Because there's nothing more I hate than seeing a trailer for a game and there's no gameplay. And I'm like,
real gamer here, people.
What are you doing?
He's one of us.
It's so annoying, man. It's so annoying. So I remember being like, no, it has to show gameplay. It has to show gameplay. So even though we showed that, like, we wanted to make sure that, but there was still elements and areas where we were like, man, we've still got so much to build. And I think that process and that feeling has been the case the whole time. Because, not only are we, building our first game, it's building the team. When I started 4 years ago, there was only like 4 or 5 of us, and we were still, I had the vision, I had an idea of what this was going to be, but finding people is hard, especially when you've never been in this industry before, right?
I can only imagine.
And you're trying to also convince people as well, because there's a reason why all these like industry veterans start these massive studios is because, okay, they've got like a track record. Whereas you got the guy who played Bayek in Assassin's Creed being like, I want to make a game. Like,
You're talking yourself down a little bit. You were also Secret Service agent number 1 in 24.
Of course. And that helped. That helped.
3 episodes.
That helped.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm telling you though, man, like the amount of people who would message me back and be like, are you fake? like, what are you doing? But this is the thing. So it was also building that, which was really kind of the hard part of it. But again, as I said, like there was this vision, there was this idea and this story. And when I was able to actually just be honest with people, and this is the whole process of what I've learned as well. It's like the more vulnerable you are and the more open you are to sort of knowing that you don't have all the answers, the better the process and the greater the actual journey becomes, because you don't put ego in front. And I think like that's the one thing I feel like there's still a lot of in the games industry. There's a lot of ego, and I think like there's this sense of like, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just people afraid of being wrong or making mistakes. I think that's maybe just a human thing. But like, I was very much of the mentality of whenever I approach people, be like, look, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. I know how I want it to feel and how I want it to, the experience that I want to give, but truly, I'm going to be beholden to the knowledge that you share with me. And it kind of became this way of building. The company kind of naturally built this way, and people begin talking, and it's all that kind of stuff. So the process has been crazy. And even with EA, for example, like I think they were the only people I pitched to this, because I didn't even know you had to pitch a game to a publisher. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought normally you would literally just like, I'd call up, like, I don't know, at the time I thought I could call up someone like Ubisoft, for example, and be like, hey, I got this game idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it wasn't that. It was literally, you have to do this whole pitch deck and pitch them all this stuff. But I sat down with the team and I was like, look, this is again, I've never done this before, but I love games. I've played them all my life. I understand to a degree what makes a good game, and this is my idea, and this is where I want to go with it, and this is why I want to do it. And I think the EA team were just like, you know what, there's at least there's heart here, and at least he's not coming in here being like, he thinks that he knows everything. He's willing to grow. And I think like that's essentially what kind of led that to this process being quite lovely. And it's been a great process, like building this studio and meeting the people, and as I say, like making the mistakes that we have, be it either through like scaling up too fast, or at the time we had 3 masks instead of 2 masks, and then having to pivot that way. And because we're a small team, pivoting is like it can be a death sentence, because it can really it could screw up the whole process, because you can't just ask the other 150 odd people to help you build like a prototype on trying something else. Like there's only 30 of you, so it's like it was a real learning throughout the whole process of it all, but been great at the same time. Like I genuinely love it, even though it is so stressful.
It sounds amazing, like, and kudos to you for pulling it off, right? I think maybe there's part of the magic that you've discovered in being an unknown in that role is you've managed to, through that, like, hey, I want to learn as much as you want to teach journey, that you've managed to get out the other end with something ready for us to enjoy and play.
I think it was the ignorance, man. Honestly, genuinely, like the ignorance really helped, because not knowing the difficulties and the challenges, it kind of helped me almost come in with an idea of like, okay, cool, let's just go for it. We'll find a way through it one way or another. Like, they always say like this period as well, this period of time, the shipping period, is really where it sets like the game developers different from other game developers, because to actually get a game working, shippable into a decent state, I mean, and we see it now a lot of the time, like some games end up shipping and they're not there yet, and they've been forced because of whatever other outside forces. But like it's hard. It's a real hard process, and it takes really brave people in a way to kind of be like, look, this is why I love Nintendo to a degree, and like what they kind of, and how they kind of go with it. They're like, if the game isn't ready, we don't want to talk about it. Like, come to us when your game is ready. And they really, and that's, again, it's respect, because they understand that people are going to be putting in the money that they've earned from the work that they've been pulling off into what they're going to be giving. Like, give them a good experience rather than something that's going to be buggy as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the patches in the world, and it's a very prominent thing nowadays in modern gaming, is it's like release and we'll patch it later. But you rewind 15 years, if your game wasn't correct out of the gate on the disc, on the cartridge, that's it. It's game over. Like,
it
can't
still
do
happened
that.
all the time. Like
it did, but much like, well, I guess the internet's made everything more prominent nowadays. But there are a huge number of games. But I think it also shows to a lot of people that, and now making games is really bloody difficult, because exactly like you said, like you talk about pivoting. It's not like this character isn't working in the book. I can go find all these chapters, or I can cut these scenes differently, or I can edit the story. I can write some new lines and someone can just say them. And then boom, we've got the new thing. There's code and art and intent that has to be completely rethought back here. And it's not that easy.
Yeah. And look, don't get me wrong. Like I genuinely think it's very, it's still very difficult to release a game without any form of bug. Like someone will find something, right? Because it's an art. It's like that kind of thing. But
I break games.
You can't hire
this
the
is it, right?
millions of people that are going to play it to be your beta
break
testers.
games.
Like
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're always going to find
Great.
more.
Can't wait for you to play this, Nick, man. Can't wait.
I did it.
Gremlin
I did it
finder.
to Ori. I did it to Ori. I did it to Prince of Persia. I did I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. I break it.
Great.
It's all right. You know, he'll let you know sooner, and you know, maybe if there is one,
Fix
quick
it.
day
Add
one
me on
patch,
Discord. Add me on Discord while I'm playing. I'll be like, man,
Here's a bug.
I'm stuck in this wall here. What's going on?
I'm
Is
sure
this
it'll be
supposed to
fine.
happen?
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm conscious of time because we've only got you for another half an hour. So I do know. Before we move on, we've got a wonderful community, the XboxEra community, that have our patrons who we love dearly. They make everything that XboxEra does possible by donating their time and their money, frankly, to enable us to do what we do. They've got some questions for you, but before we dive into them, one last thing on Ciao. Just for people listening, if they're unaware, if they're completely oblivious, when's it out? You know, platforms, do the spiel. Do the spiel,
sure.
my friend.
Sure. So yeah, so Tales of Kenzera Ciao is coming out April 23rd of this year, which is so crazy. Like in a few weeks' time. It's coming on all platforms, like PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, PC, Nintendo Switch, and you know, also it's going to be on the Steam Deck. So yeah, and that's April 23rd. All at the same
And it's in
time.
PlayStation Plus.
Hey, and I was
Yeah,
about to
it's gonna
say
be,
congrats on the
it's gonna be-
PlayStation Plus
thank
deal
you.
too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was it's again, you know what's crazy? It's like, you know, we are again, small game. It's like, you know, so small studio, first studio, EA original title, right? Okay, cool. And you know, when you're announcing at the Game Awards, and don't get me wrong, I love the Game Awards, but it does feel like there are 101 games that are going to be announced at the Game Awards. So many trailers, right?
Yeah.
And you know, when we're talking with the marketing team of, you know, with EA and even with our side, we were like, okay, how are we going to actually like stand out or like get any sort of, you know, because again, like the PlayStation deal, for example, wasn't a thing until we announced at the Game Awards. Even Xbox putting us on their, you know, on their showcase wasn't a thing until it was the Game Awards. And I genuinely can't thank Jeff enough for actually giving me that chance to literally just go on stage and be like, here's my heart, and be like, this is the game. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have got that PlayStation Plus deal. Xbox wouldn't have showed me up. Nintendo wouldn't be, you know, showcasing us in elements here and there. Like, it has provided so many cool opportunities and so many cool things that, like, as a small indie first game, a new IP, it's like impossible to stand out right now. But they've really helped on that front. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it will be on PS Plus on launch day. So
Lucky for the PlayStation folks, but it's
man.
really good news, and I would
It's
obviously encourage everyone to pick
eventually in the EA vault on Xbox. It's only like about a year down the line. Normally, we'll see.
Yeah,
don't worry about that. Buy it straight away on launch day.
Because
I will
unlike Prince of Persia,
say,
it's not as expensive. It always helps.
well, this is it, and that's the other thing, right? It's $20, and the story behind that really generally is because we were talking. Because again, this is the beauty of being able to, you know, actually run a company. You can make these decisions. And I remember talking to EA about this, and EA were like, "Well, we're thinking maybe, you know, 35, 30," and I'm like, "How much is pizza?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "How much would the pizza be?" And they're like, "What's about $20? You know, 17 pounds or whatever." I'm like, "Make it the price of pizza."
Smart move, though.
Literally, it was literally like I like this. It feels like, you know, like a pizza. You kind of feel like you're cheating the guy you're buying the pizza from, because there's a lot of pizza. So you're like, I'm eating a lot of pizza right now. There's a good pizza, and I'm paid only like what $20 for this. Like, this is great. So I'm like, that's what I want people to feel like. I want to feel like they're like, you know, what, they're giving me like 10, 12 hours of this game like for $20. I'm stealing from. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's essentially really where it came from.
Nice.
I will say though, mate, you just lied. You said coming to all platforms. We just discussed the fact that there's no Mac version. That's not all platforms.
He's got you.
That's not
He's
all
got you.
platforms, mate.
Translation?
Rumble.
Yeah, I feel
I've got this I've got this overly obscenely expensive MacBook Pro with
That's
an
got a
M1 chip in it
3090
here,
according to Mac.
and
I know what
can't
kind of
play.
interviewer you are, bro. I know. I got your number now, man.
Right. And look, I know I'm not going to get this exclusive for the Xbox Era podcast, but I look at the naming convention because you kept calling it Ciao, and I'm like, hold on, it's Tales of Kenzera, Ciao. You're already thinking about the sequel, aren't you?
I've got many.
Poker face. Poker face. Don't know
You're
what you're talking
already
about,
thinking
Nick.
about the sequel. The next
Listen,
one,
man.
Tales of Kenzera, something else.
So, well, this is it, right? This is it. So this is why, like, this is gonna be like our flagship universe, man. Like, if it, when we announce and when it launches and it bangs, hopefully, the idea is to be like, cool. Well, let's keep building into this world.
Nice.
Because again, my idea or my hope is to kind of spark that kind of love for, like, you look at something like League of Legends. Like, I didn't really care about League of Legends until Arcane came out. And then as soon as Arcane came out, I'm like, I want to know more about this universe. So I'm hoping to have that effect, with Ciao, and the idea of like it being like people want more of this. And I've got this whole crazy idea and plan about it, man.
I love this.
It's like it's this whole universe planned, and it's just like, and it's so funny. I remember again pitching this to EA, and they were like, I mean, you're buying a little bit more than you could chew, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like,
the idea.
Board in the back, like, it's the idea.
All of the pins.
No, you're biting off more than you can chew, Andrew.
So there's definitely a lot.
Amazing.
I'm seeing that already because I've done the review for the first season of Fallout, and people I know are just like, oh, there's a Fallout TV show coming. I'm gonna look into the game. So when you get that cross everything, like, because my wife had never really played the games, didn't know anything about them, watched the season with me, and now is into it. So you can definitely build a lot up from
that kind of universe, right? Yeah.
So same with the Halo TV show. My missus, now we're playing through the campaign so that she can, understand the real story that the Halo TV show should have been. Just before we get into the community questions, we do have a super chat.
Risk it for the biscuit. This game has been the top of my list since I saw it.
Always good to see.
Yeah, wow. I love a good Metroidvania. We do have, it's not a super chat, but one of a friend of ours who's been on the show a few times, Kaya Sante, said, "Please make sure the cutscenes aren't skippable. Nick hates skippable cutscenes." He's a bit of an in joke there because I'm an infamous cutscene skipper.
Are you really?
He's awful for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had another developer on, Bart, who made Benedict Fox.
The other Metroidvania.
Cute. Yeah. Yes. The last case of Benedict Fox. And he and I were having discussions off air about achievements and all this sort of stuff. And he found out that I like to skip cutscenes. So he put an achievement in the game where I have to watch all the cutscenes if I want that achievement. I have to watch all of them.
God.
Yeah.
And I think you were in the credits as official achievements.
I am.
Advisor.
I'm in the credits. Yeah.
Glorious.
And it says achievement consultant and cutscene skipper because he knew that I skip cutscenes.
Brilliant.
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Anyway, well, Nick, we've got a few community questions from our wonderful patrons, so we'll dive into them, and then for exclusive world's first, we're going to see you doing your best at game hosting.
Abu's a director. He's an actor. He's a voice actor. He's all sorts of things. But have you been a game show host?
I actually haven't.
I'm looking forward to this.
Mate,
It's going to be fun.
Look at that. Look at that. New things every day. Every day.
Wow.
Brace yourself. It's very silly. What have we got from the community questions side, Nick?
Community questions. Okay. Skedaddle. Warm welcome, Abubakar. How did it come about getting your game published under the EA Originals label? Did you get the opportunity to ask Josef Fares of Hytham Studios about his experience with them?
Yes. So, oh man, I don't want to be like name dropping. I'm not going to
do it.
Do it. No, can't do that. I was at a party essentially of a mutual friend of ours, and I remember talking to Joseph there and being like, "Hey, buddy, I heard you make games." And he was like, yeah, I'm making it. This is before It Takes Two. This is just, I think it was just after.
Before Fuck the Oscars?
Yeah, no, it was definitely after. But anyway, but I was talking to him about this idea that I wanted to make for a game, and he was like, "Oh man, that's really cool." And he was like, "Have you ever thought of talking to EA?" And I remember thinking, as in like the people who make FIFA. And he was like, "Yeah, but they also do like originals. Like the original titles are really cool." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, that's great." And like that kind of was it planted then. I was like, "Ah, right, whatever." And then cut to like, a few months later, and there's a good friend of mine who interviewed me actually, as he had his own podcast channel, and he was doing his own thing. This was after playing Bayek and whatnot. Told him I'm making a game, and he then now was working at EA at the time, and he was like, "Oh man, you should what's your game about? Like, send me the story and the idea for it." And I was like, I typed it up in an email, and he was like, "Right, send it to the EA team." And I was like, "What?" And so from the back of that email, literally, I was like, "Dude, what have you done?" From the back of that email, I ended up essentially having a meeting with the EA Originals production team. And that's where they were like, "Tell us about the game." And that's how it all came about. And again, just crazy enough to think like literally Josef Fares was telling me about like the original game and how crazy and how cool it was. And yeah, so that's sort of how it came about.
Wow. I mean,
awesome.
who you know, right?
So
like,
literally,
wow.
man.
Pure coincidence of network and bang.
Literally.
Incredible. Good question, Skedaddle. I liked that answer as well.
That's a good one.
Brilliant story.
Okay, next. Zip. I feel like most of the questions that come to mind are probably ones y'all will ask, but I'm going to go with, what was an unexpected, difficult decision you had to make while working on designing the game?
Oh, going from 3 masks to 2. So I had always had this vision of having 3 masks, and at the end of, at the end of the game, almost in a way, actually it was 4 masks technically. It was going to be, like maskless Zhao, and then the 3 masks as well, because in my head, I really wanted to play with this idea of this kid is always having to shift and go through all these different masks, where really his true form or his powerful form might actually be really cool. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if we had an achievement where you just did, the whole game without a mask on? But then I kind of realized that actually that's quite hard to do, because you need the masks in order to progress in a Metroidvania. But the point is that I remember having this, this was the vision. And when talking with the team and trying to find a way of balancing it, it was difficult. It was hard. And the team kind of, they shared it, but they didn't really say it, And I think this comes down as well from previous experiences of working in previous studios, where if you try and say anything against like the creative director or the boss, you're going to get fired. And it's like, whereas here, it was almost like I could feel this sense of something. And thank God I had my mate, because there's my so the game is written by me and being my schoolmate, he knew my father. He would take me and my dad. My dad would take me and him to school literally every day, and his parents would pick us up. So he grew up with me and my dad, and he was, we were both writing this game, and we've never written for a game before, so we were just like, okay, let's just figure it out. But he literally pulled me aside and was like, dude, the team aren't telling you this, but I'm telling you this now. This 4 mask thing is gonna kill us. And I remember thinking, but no one has said anything about like, the
people
idea.
Are scared.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, but people don't. Of course, they're not gonna say because you're the boss. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what I'm fucking doing. I'm just trying to make a game. So we had this meeting, and I remember saying to the team, guys, I think we should, maybe 4 masks is hard. We should go to 2 masks. And the relief.
Oh, that's so funny.
But it was one of those hard ones, because it was like, again, I had this vision, but it just wasn't kicking. And so that was one of the tough decisions and tough calls that we had to make.
Wow. That's so funny. It's true across everything, though. Like,
he was doing Christian Bale tirades. That's why they were all scared of him to say anything. That's why they were all scared of him. See, I knew it.
Oh man.
And Zip says, follow up if it hasn't been asked and if time permits. What influences did you identify as things you wanted to include aspects of when you were designing the game? I love the music, especially in what I've seen. It's quite good.
Yeah, so I would say like, you know, other influences were like specific. If we were looking at music, for example, was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, I love the fact that like, you know,
so
especially with that soundtrack, you've got the heroic, marvelous Spider-Man nature of it all, but then you've also got the Miles Morales, you know, side, and that clash felt really, really cool. Like sometimes it worked, and it's beautiful, and it was great, and like, and sometimes they were not mixing, but that was the point. They were supposed to be battling with one another. I thought that was a really big influence, you know, and really kind of love for that. Games, obviously, like Ori was a big kind of influence there, and you know, elements of even like Dead Cells was a big one as well too. I remember the feeling. I think, funnily enough, the kind of the enjoyment of wanting to make it also like part of this 2D sort of vibe is also. I remember the first time 2.5D or 2D. I remember playing Dead Cells and actually doing a successful run for the first time, and that feeling of like elation of like, I've just done my first run. It felt like a chance, but at the same time like skill. I don't know what happened there, and it's been a long time since I've ever felt that way. And the last time I ever felt that way was actually completing like you know, be it either like a Sonic level with my father, or like, you know, when he was watching me and actually completely, you know, doing it, you know, successfully and being like, oh, I've done it. And so that really kind of spurred that on. So that was a big influence as well.
Awesome.
That's so good.
Cool.
Did you just play Sonic 2 together? So one was Tails that could just die unlimited times?
Literally, yeah. Which was great.
Yeah.
Which was great. And I never wanted
so
to play
good.
Tails.
So good. Okay, Hugh. Welcome, Abubakar. I'm going to keep my questions short but potentially difficult. You have played many well-known roles across film, TV, and games. However, do you have a favorite, and why is it Bayek?
You know what? Yeah, it's so true because it is Bayek.
Hey.
I'll tell you why. I think because it was the first time that I was allowed. Like, first of all, it was like my first big lead role, like actually leading something. I was, you know, working on it for a long time, so I grew with this character for a very long time. And mainly because I knew the world and the franchise so well. Like, I felt like I just fit in, and I had a say about it. I was even telling like the directors and the writers, even like, and having conversations with them about like what would be cool, what could, you know, what would be different. Like for example, the opening scene where I'm shouting and, you know, scratching the name out of this, you know, out of my arm because I'm gonna kill this guy. That wasn't supposed to be in the game. It was supposed to be like a much cooler sort of way into Egypt. But we were like, I remember just pulling it was me, the writer, and the cinematic director together. And we're like, no, let's just go hard. Let's go crazy here. Like, let's just like introduce Bayek as this like crazy freaking like guy. He's not an assassin. He ain't that cool in the shadows. No, he's going to pull this dagger out. Like kind of happened to him. He's going to scratch out this guy's name from his arm, and he's going to kill him. And like, and I remember the writer, Elaine, at the time was like, absolutely, this is sounds cool. And we did it. And I think there was some powers that be were a bit like, this isn't Assassin's Creed, this isn't it. But everyone internally loved it so much that it ended up being the scene. And yeah, everyone still kind of talks about it, man. So which is all really great. So yeah, Bayek was definitely, I felt like I had the most freedom of playing in that role. That's why it's my favorite.
That's cool. I'm spewing they didn't let you learn Greek.
Come on.
We were talking.
He's already
about
doing
it
so
off
many
air
things. Give the man a break.
There's a lot of Greek in Assassin's Creed Origins. Every time I'm walking through and I'm hearing people calling each other malakas, and I'm like, wow, there's actually like real Greek in this game. But
this is, man, I feel like I've got to win you over somehow, man.
He's
the
a
match
tricky
isn't
character.
Working. Like,
think how I feel. I got to do a podcast with this Australian guy every week. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare of unending. It's a pride swallowing siege. But there you go.
A couple more. Just a couple more. SJDub. Hey, welcome, Abubakar. I've been looking forward to jumping into Tales of Kenzera Ciao from the moment it was shown off at the Game Awards and already have it pre-ordered. I was wondering, have there been any past roles or experiences, either in TV, film, games, or life in general, that you leaned on when forming Surgent Studios?
Ooh,
Tricky question.
that's a good one. That's a really good one. I would probably say, I wouldn't necessarily say it would be past roles. I would say actually it's more experiences. And I think actually when working on Raised by Wolves with Ridley and his team and all that jazz, like that really inspired me to be wild or be kind of crazy with the stories that I want to tell, or like the kind of universes that I want to create it. Because there's something that Ridley and his whole team brought to Raised by Wolves, which is they're just unapologetically creative. Like they will just do something weird and crazy and it works weird and crazily, you know? And I think that was really cool and inspiring to see, because there's always going to be someone out there who will watch the show and be like, yo, when, you know, she gave birth to that snake, that was crazy.
That was
You know what I
crazy.
mean? You know what I mean? It was like, people are like, I don't know what I'm watching. And it's like, yeah, but there's, you know, the thing is like there's always reason to back it up, and there's always a why, you know. And I think like that's the great thing about Ridley and, you know, and what they do is like there's always a reason why as to why they do some crazy thing. We used to have this joke that Aaron, who wrote the show, the actors used to say, Aaron basically would wake up in the morning with his kids at the table and be like, so what's going to happen now? And the kids would be like, well,
Snake ladies.
like, mom's going to give birth to a snake and she's going to kill people. And he's like, oh, that's great. How does she kill people? She screams and makes their head explode. Brilliant. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think there was an unapologetic creativity that they brought that I think really inspired the formation and the stories that we kind of want to tell with essentially Surgent and Tales of Kenzera as a whole.
Brilliant, man. I'm
cool.
loving each of these
that,
questions. Have been good.
Did you hear that, John?
What?
Before Abu goes, I don't like name dropping, but mate, I've heard Ridley Scott's name so many times.
Oh my god,
mate! I've heard Ridley Scott's name so many times.
Please no, Nick isn't seriously. He's yanking your chain. This is just very Australian. You know, like if the PR team are watching, he's just joking. He's joking around.
Listen, man. I've got names, bro. If there's one name I can throw, it's the guy who's helping me make this thing.
Oh man.
Okay. Last one. Although Riskett dropped one more super chat, he said, if we've got time. It's actually a pretty good question too. Good old Collingwood. Hello, John, Nick, and Jesse, and welcome, Abubakar. Abubakar, listen to your interview on the official Xbox podcast. I was really impressed by your enthusiasm and thought you would be great to come on the XboxEra podcast. My question, what came first? The idea for the game or the genre of the game?
The idea for the game. Because from the idea, then you found the genre. So even though I love Metroidvanias, I was always of the mentality of like, depending on what the idea of the story is and how I want to tell it and why I want to tell it, that's then where you find the genre for it. So yeah, I would say the idea came first and then the genre afterwards.
Very good. And good old Collingwood asks a question that although we forgot with Grant,
this is very important to us.
We always ask this question of our guests, and this is going to be an interesting answer given your role in the industry.
Go on.
Do you like the TV show Friends?
Oh man, do I like Friends?
Do you?
No, it's funny because
there's no wrong answer.
No, I do like Friends, but like, I'm not like. Am I hearing?
Yeah, you're hearing Friends music.
Oh god, this is going to take so long to explain, and I'm very conscious of time. The nutshell is Nick and I were doing a podcast together we'd been about like in a year, and neither of us knew that we were kind of like, of all of the sitcoms of our youth, both of us were kind of like, oh yeah, I absolutely adored Friends back in the day.
Obsessed
and then it
with
just
Friends.
went off, and the community has just latched onto it. So now it's become a thing that we have to ask every guest.
Obsessed with Friends.
And sometimes if they say no, we really do tear them apart. So it's lucky you said I do like Friends. So that's it. You're okay.
Again, like I think I grew up with like Friends, Everybody Loves Raymond, that kind of stuff. Like watching that anyway when I was, So like, yeah, I like Friends. I love Friends. Like Friends is a good show.
God.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
God for
good.
that. Makes up for not making a Mac port.
Yeah, cheers, man.
That's it. Nick's like still happy now. Now I am very conscious of time.
No, it's all good. All good.
It's all good. As long as you're cool.
Yeah.
Shout if you're not.
No, for sure.
We've got a quick super chat from Risk It, and
Just
then we're
a
going to
couple of
dive into the
super
quiz.
Absolutely.
And it's sort of answered with good old Collingwood's question. Risk It for the Biscuit asks, when I saw his speech at the Game Awards, I knew this game would be something special. I'm a Metroidvania fanatic, but what other genre was considered? Well, it sounds like there wasn't.
There wasn't. There actually
Straight in
wasn't.
with Metroid.
It literally had to be because again, like, because the way we sort of looked at it, right, was we were looking at, be it like RPGs or like open worlds or roguelites or Souls like and all this kind of stuff. Like we were playing with, we kind of I had this idea of like looking at them all, but none really captured the idea of what I wanted to share, which is this journey of grief, better than a Metroidvania. Because again, you look at like a Souls, like you as a character are always dying. Do you know what I mean? Or like, so, and there's an element of like the death is on you. So it kind of removes the power of the other party being dead and you having to try and find, you going through this journey of grief. Elements of like an open world, for example, like a third person perspective or any of that kind of jazz, like it didn't feel honest. It felt almost like, oh yeah, we're just trying to make a really cool game here. It's like, it had to be 2D because that's the kind of games I used to play with my dad, and that really kind of sticks with me. It had, it had to kind of play into this, even the elements of like the animation and some of the VFX. I know no one says it, but I always say like the Blue Mars super attack is basically like a Kamehameha. I kind of wanted it to be like that because I love Dragon Ball Z, and I remember watching that as a kid a hell of a lot, and that was something as well that I share as a passion with my father. So like all these elements were purposely chosen, and we really had to do. So yeah, the Metroidvania sort of genre was always the case.
There you go.
Grouse.
Love it.
And the last one's just a shout more than a question. Our friend Kay Asante, salute to XboxEra and the amazing guest, Abubakar, my African brother. Some of us in the gaming community have been advocating for voices like yours for so long. We feel such a sense of pride with Ciao.
Oh man, thank you. That means a lot, man.
Thanks, Kay Asante.
It really does. It really does. Because again, it's that whole. Again, I always say this as well. Like I'm of the mentality of like, if I can inspire other people to even make even cooler games or even do tell greater stories in this medium, then again, I feel like I've done my job, man. Because that's part and parcel of it all, right? Everyone gets inspired by something else. So yeah, that means a lot.
Wow. Thank you, Kay. That was awesome. This has been an awesome conversation, and like, man, we've had so many great guests on the show, but I think it's going to be hard to beat this, Abu. Like having genuine, hearing from behind the scenes, all of the stories of creation. It is an inspiring story. So I know we're all pumped
we got
to
all
get
the
stuck
celebs when we were off air. All the juicy
all the
stories
goss.
we got. Oh mate,
His PR team are like,
Pure ammunition, man.
He's such a troublemaker.
Man.
Now is the true moment, the true peak of your career, though, because you get to become the game quiz hostmaster of
I actually am so
game.
excited for this.
Surgeon's
Get
closing
hype.
down after this. Surgeon's closing down after this because Abu's going to host Jeopardy from here on out.
It's gonna be. I found my new passion, guys. It's game shows.
Yeah.
This is what it's gonna
Game
be.
show host.
Tales of Kenzera game show. That's the next game.
This is great.
Right. So, for those watching, the premise is simple, and I'll explain this as well for your benefit. Every week, Nick and I play as champions for our wonderful Patreon community. So Nick picks a couple of Patreons at random. Don't worry, I've got them up on the screen. I'm all ready to rock and roll, I think. Okay. And we we play as their champions to win them a code, a video game code from our plethora of video game codes that Jesse has hiding somewhere on his PC. The beauty of this game is that Jesse takes the normal names of video games and replaces all the words with synonyms. So an example would be Perfect Dark would become Immaculate Shadow, right? So we need to try and figure out what the names of these games are and hopefully win one of our wonderful patrons a code. If you want to be one of those wonderful patrons, head to patreon.com/XboxEra, where you can pledge your support for as little as a cup of coffee a month. Help us do all this cool stuff and have amazing guests and win games. Why not? With that said, Nick, who are we playing for this week?
Okay, I am playing for Andrew Norris, and you, John, are playing for Derek Reeves.
Cool. I look forward to winning them a code. Without further ado, Abu, welcome us to name the game.
Absolutely. Right. So,
Push the button, Jesse. Push the
name
button.
the game.
John didn't
Do I
lead
say
us
the
into the
category?
button.
Can I tell you?
Yes. So go right ahead.
okay.
Start up with the category, please.
Right. The category is action platformers.
Ooh, okay. I feel
Yeah.
comfortable. I feel comfortable.
So, let's start easy. Chord.
One word. Chord. CORD.
Chord.
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 Action platformer.
So
So,
they're
not
not always,
Metroidvania
they're not
specifically.
always focused. So some are just more platformers because it's tough. There's not that many Metroidvanias.
Yeah, it's not
So
many.
might just be a platformer.
Okay.
Very well known.
Okay. Chord. Very well known.
I believe a 360 arcade game. Oh, Nick.
Oh, hold on. What type of chord? I got my things wrong.
It's up to you. Figure it out. Starting the timer. 10.
Oh, there's a timer going already, and one of us can get it. It's a really simple
7,
one. This is going to drive you
6,
nuts.
4,
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Are we going to kick
8,
ourselves, Sabu?
2, 1.
Yeah.
Let them know what it is.
The answer was Braid.
Oh my god, I love Braid, and it's getting a remake this year as well. I feel like a plonker. Okay, fine.
Right.
Okay, off to a bad start. Bad start for
Terrible
us.
start.
The next one. I think this is how you say it. Stain Suds.
Yeah, Stein
Stein
Suds.
Stein Suds.
One compound word.
Stein Suds.
Can you put it in the private chat, Jesse?
I got a lot of stuff to do. There you go.
Stein Suds.
Yep.
Stein Suds.
Massive game. Massive transmedia game. Now,
It's really good. It's a good game. Annoying, but really good.
I could say a name that might make you think of it. I'll give you one hint. Dean Takahashi. Sick.
Come on, roll back. Cuphead. Yes.
That is the answer.
Oh, thank
Poor
God.
Dean.
That is the answer.
The fact that I knew that for Dean's demo.
Where's Stein Suds Cuphead?
Stein, as in a beer stein, as a cup. Suds, head, the foam. That's what I'm presuming.
Yeah,
the head on a beer.
The Suds.
This is great.
Whenever
Got to think
Nick-
outside the box, bro.
If Nick doesn't get it, he cries.
Yeah, he has a good old
for
win.
our resident diva. I know.
Whatever.
By the way, got a brand new scoreboard this time because they tried to make me pay for it. And I said, screw you, I'm just going to capture the window.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. All right, next one,
don't have
please.
money.
Abu.
All right. Slaughtered compartments.
Ooh, Nick.
Dead Cells?
You are correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tied to 1.
That was
Cop
good.
that.
That was really good.
Cop
Right.
that.
Next
They're,
one.
they're normally really bad, but having
This
a
is
guest on, I wanted them to be less stupid.
Right, fair enough.
You just did Stein Suds.
Yeah, it works fine. You know, some of them are like 30 words. Like they get pretty ridiculous. Okay, next one, please, sir.
Tricorn.
That's exactly what he
Try
said.
corn. Try corn.
Try
Tricorn.
This is the worst one. I apologize in advance.
Tricorn.
I mean, it does work.
Okay. Try triple 3.
Yeah.
But what is a
Corn?
tricorn?
Tricorn. A unicorn is
The
like
11th Doctor. If you're a nerd. You'll get it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not a big Doctor Who fan.
Well,
Very good. That's a very good hint.
thank you. Yeah, I got two old stick in the muds here. Don't like fun.
I love fun. Like they're probably.
I don't watch Doctor Who.
I could wax
Exactly.
lyrical about Doctor Who sucking, but it's fine. Okay, Tricorn. I don't know. Hit the timer. I give up.
No idea.
Please let them know.
Don't know it.
All right. Fez.
Oh,
It happens every time. Yeah.
the pain is real. The pain is real. Like this is the worst performance I think from both of us in quite some time.
Yeah.
You're
We're
starstruck.
feeling the pain.
Right, man,
Yeah, we
it's-
are. We're starstruck.
it's-
That's what it is. That's what it is. We're
It's
starstruck.
the father.
This
Come on.
this next one, I think it's
gonna
gonna be. I think you're gonna get it
Okay.
pretty quickly. All right, so we're gonna see who's gonna be fast, and then I guess it depends on the internet. Ready?
Yeah.
Vacant Paladin.
Man,
Vacant Paladin.
This is. Oh my god.
I know.
how am I not getting this?
Can't wait to see
I
the
know.
sequel to
This feels
one
like
in June.
this. Oh wait.
Sick.
Yeah.
Is it? It's getting the sequel, Hollow Knight.
That's the answer.
I say sequel. Is it expansion? A sequel?
No, it's a sequel.
Void
Silk Song.
Is it Void Heart? What? Silk
No.
Song.
Yeah.
That's it.
No,
Yeah,
Void
Silk
Heart's
Song
the other thing.
was the edition
Is
that had
the
everything.
edition? Yeah.
Sorry.
I
I know
I'm the only
everyone
one who's
freaks out
played
about Hollow Knight.
here. I repeat it. It's
I
great.
didn't like it. Didn't
You
like
have-
it, and I love
didn't
Metroidvania.
like
thing
it.
with
I
Hollow
didn't
Knight
like
is
it.
you have to get through, and it's a bad thing. You have to get through the first 8 or 10 hours. Now, it's worth just looking up a guide, get the cool shit, and then the next 30 hours are incredible.
Okay.
The first
Maybe
playthrough can
one
be
day.
rough. They're not good at games anyway, so they probably would suck at it. Next one.
I am offended. But
I mean,
next
I'm
one, in the interest of time, because we need to let this man go to bed.
All right. Here's one. Glimmer Guy Giants.
Glimmer Guy Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Glimmer Guy.
Glimmer Guy Giants.
My God, giants.
It's like action-y,
I would-
platformery, not
Yeah,
always
and I
Metroidvania-y.
would almost say, don't think of giants as in like big people, weak people. Like think like I'm among giants. You know,
Giants of industry.
if that even fucking makes any sense.
It does.
Glimmer Guy Giants.
Massive game. One of the last
Guy
ones in a
Giants.
long-running franchise. The character people want to come back desperately. The publisher was brought up before. As one, Abu thought he could just
God.
call up and say, "Hey, want to make my game?"
Yeah,
Yep. I pay attention.
and that was good. That was very good. And also, you know, they are. I mean, there's a reason why, you know, Prince of Persia is so good.
Nick.
Rayman Legends.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Well played.
bango.
Well
There you
played.
go. Well done.
Oh man, this is hard.
Tied.
It's too.
I
I know these are really hard, and it's not like Crying Sister 2. This is
Yeah, they
different.
didn't. That was Crisis 2. I said sobbing sibling. Sobbing sibling. They couldn't get it.
How does anyone get? I would think Bioshock or something.
Yeah.
That's like, okay. Anyway. Right.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you guys are gonna get this one.
Okay.
Definitely.
This is for the win. Yeah, I
Yep.
think.
For the win.
Yeah, there's either one of us. Here we go.
Yeah.
Digging tool cavalryman.
Digging tool cavalry.
Oh,
2 words.
yeah.
Starting the timer. We're in the end game now. Nick.
Shovel Knight.
Nice.
You're correct.
Well
We can
played.
We can do the
Well
other 3
played.
just for funsies if we want.
Yep. Sure. Let's do them.
That's up to Abu.
No, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well played.
Okay.
Reprobate.
Push us off.
Reprobate bestowal. Bestowal.
Mhm.
Bestowal.
Yeah, bestowal.
Okay. These are really hard. I don't know what you're talking about. I made them easy this week.
I made them PC this week. The sequel to this one I reviewed last year, and I think I gave it 9.6. Absolutely adored it.
Reprobate bestowal.
It was
Okay,
essentially
to
an
give
Xbox
someone.
exclusive for a little while. Now it's on Switch.
Man, This is killing me. Today is killing
If
me.
you are
I
a
feel
reprobate, what
so
type of human
dumb.
are you?
You're a scumbag. I don't know. Yeah.
A scoundrel, a fiend,
Oh God. Okay, I can't remember the
I'm
style
embarrassed. I am
to
embarrassed
give.
for you. I
don't know.
Yep.
I'm cringing internally. I'm cringing at my
We'll get to
failures.
the next one.
Rogue Legacy.
I want to die.
I chose big games on purpose. I chose the biggest ones.
I feel so dumb. I feel so dumb right now.
All right, we got two more.
At least I'm
to
running
go
on
by.
5 hours of broken sleep.
You got two more, lads. You got two more. Right.
Okay, please redeem myself.
This one's easy. This one's easy.
This one's easy.
Go.
Outstanding muscle lad.
If you shake your head no, I'm gonna just quit.
Outstanding muscle lad.
It's sick.
Super Meat Boy.
Boom. Good man.
I'm back.
I feel like you're both
I
working
quit my job
together
now.
now. You're working together to make this work.
Yeah, the pressure there was very real.
Okay, here we go. Final one, guys.
Okay.
Auditory creations.
Noise. You're humming the theme tune. Why wasn't I listening?
Because you were too bit Nick.
Is it?
Hang on, he's got to check the chat, folks. Just
Starting chat.
give him a
No,
second.
I don't
Or
have
starting
to
timer. Chat has not gotten it.
I don't know if this game.
7,
I don't think this game's
6,
an action platformer. I was
5,
going to say sound shapes, but
No.
I don't think that's a.
Incorrect.
Action
You've embarrassed
platformer.
yourself. John, for the steal,
Auditory creations.
if you were to be rolling around at the speed of sound, you've got places to go, you've got to follow your rainbow. What would you be doing?
Wow.
Yeah, mate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I quit.
Unbelievable.
I know.
I think I just realised what this was.
Yeah. I've used auditory for this before because there's only so many words you can use for it.
Oh, is it going to be a Sonic game?
Yep.
The
Oh,
Sonic
okay.
game.
Yep.
The best one.
Sonic Generations.
Creations, Origins.
Generations.
Yes.
Okay.
Generations.
Oh, see, I don't know.
Generations.
I don't know. I'm not a big Sonic guy. What do you
Abu
want
liked you
from me?
until this game. Now
I know.
think it's all
Now he
dead.
thinks nothing of me.
Never
a true
coming back
gamer
again.
around a bunch of posers.
Right. Unbelievable.
All right. Well, Abu, thank you ever so much for being a very, very good
Yes.
sport.
No,
and
thank
Thank
you
you very
guys.
much.
hanging with us
you.
for this evening and giving up your Saturday night. It is appreciated, especially for a fledgling company like ours. Like it means a lot.
No, of
and
course, absolutely.
we've loved
Thank you
having
for having me. Honestly, it's been great. It's been really, really great. So thank you.
It has.
Thanks for making the time on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
like
Amazing.
it means a lot. Last thing from you, Tales of Kenzera, April 20th.
April 23rd. April 23rd, all platforms apart from Mac. I'm so sorry. Yeah, literally, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there and here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, really looking
It's all
forward.
right. You can send me an Xbox code. That's fine.
Okay, fine.
It's
great.
okay,
I'll
mate.
do that.
Don't do
Don't
it.
worry about it.
Don't
stress.
indulge
Don't
him.
stress, mate. Don't stress.
But seriously, to you and the entire team that have worked on the game, we wish you all the very, very best for launch. We know
Thank you.
it's daunting to throw something you've made and put your heart into. And I know you mentioned you played video games with your dad. That's how that journey into gaming started. And I know he's not here to see it, but I'm sure he would be super proud of what you made.
Thank you,
So can't wait to play it. We're really looking forward to it. You can keep an eye on XboxEra for our review closer to launch. But from Jesse. But we'll be talking about it on the podcast, so feel free to tune in around launch day. We'll be talking about it live.
Amazing.
So really, really appreciate you coming on, man.
Great.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Take
Yes.
care, guys. Take
No
it easy.
worries.
Have a good one, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao for now. What an amazing guest
good.
Abu was. That was incredible. And we
Very
hope that the chat really, really enjoyed the show. I know
damn it. Might
it's a
disappear.
bit different.
Okay.
Different from the normal setup, but when we have a guest like that on, like we just want to dive straight into it and get to know them and get to hear some of these amazing developer stories. So, as you said, Tales of Kenzera is coming out on April 23rd. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to experiencing this world that they've made. So,
sure.
congrats to that team. Whew.
For sure.
Wow.
And I didn't
that's
say
great.
anything I wasn't supposed to, so I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah. We
I
did
played the
great.
demo,
Everyone
so it
did
makes it
great.
easy.
Yes.
you two.
Yes. I just love that whole story of I love video games. I'm gonna go make one. I think that is such an inspiring thing to have achieved. Like it's crazy to me that he's pulled that off. But wow, big up Nick for managing to get that guest. That's
Nick
incredible.
John had been talking a lot of shit about you in our private chat. Don't know that he wants you
It's
to know
true.
that.
It's true.
You know,
Hats off to the podcast lead here because that was one hell of a get. And so much fun.
He was good.
It was
He
great.
was good.
We'll,
I might have to ask him
resume.
if he knows Henry Cavill.
Yeah, can you hook us up?
I might ask him if he knows Henry Cavill and say, hey.
Check his
Send
IMDb.
Henry.
See if we've got.
And then he'll be
see
like,
if he's
"What
got any
PC do
films
you
in
have,
common."
Nick?" And you'll be like, "I got a Mac," and then he will instantly block
I got
you.
a Mac.
Yeah, he'll hate you.
You got to
forever.
push him to me and John with our team red and our team green setups, and like we cover everything. We just love PC gaming. It's number one. People yell at us for using them because look, I'm going to say it now. I'm probably going to be reviewing Tales of Kenzera on PC for reasons outside of my control. So please don't yell at me. PC.
Anyways,
And thanks, Mash, for those memberships
Yeah.
earlier.
Yes.
We didn't say it when they popped in, but
apologies.
I did a
They're
clap,
there.
but I had my camera or my mic off so people wouldn't get upset.
Yeah. God. Wow.
That was great. That was the best guest we ever
It
had.
was. It was. Now,
Big
I am
guest.
still conscious of time because Nick, like I know you're pretty tired, right? You've had a rough night. I don't want to go into details.
well, I mean, it's 8:45 in the morning here, so there's still
you're okay.
plenty of my day.
Okay. Well, in
I'm
that
awake
case,
now.
In that case, let's crack on with more Xboxera discussion. For those of you guys that are in the chat that really, really love the interviews, one of the things we're working on at the moment is a
We're
new
fighting
series
Nick
called...
tooth and nail on it.
One of the new series we're working on for our Patreon members first, but we will bring it to everybody that's a member of the XboxEra community, whether you're a Patreon member or a YouTube member or not, is a new show called 1v1 where we're going to try and get into the nitty-gritty with just one of us, just doing an interview with a developer or a voice actor or anything. And we've got a long list. There's a thread on the forum that you can kind of dive into if you've got suggestions. So head over to the Patreon lounge on forum.xboxera.com and let us know. Don't forget to hit like on the show, by the way. We really do appreciate it. It helps the algorithm make us have some
And the
love.
algorithm's
because
a bitch lately. My God.
YouTube is broken as hell lately. It's really
everybody,
quiet.
yeah.
The whole industry is like really quiet, just waiting. But yeah, I suppose we should dive into some news, perhaps some of the bigger topics that we didn't cover
Get
on
Nick's
headlines.
perspective. Why not?
Yeah, let's do that. What have we got? What have we got on the list? I need to. I'm all befuddled and all over the place.
He was so
today.
handsome and the voice is so great. I understand.
Yeah, it's all true. I know where to start. I will pimp the video I just made. In case you weren't paying attention, about an hour before the show, I just released an opinion piece on everything going on with Microsoft, Xbox, the broad changes across the industry. It is just an opinion piece, but it's a long one. It's a good 20-minute video or something like 17 minutes, something like that. But hopefully it is of use. If you are confused about the direction that Xbox is taking, I do recommend to go check it out. Head to xboxera.com, or alternatively, you can find the video version on our YouTube channel right now. In terms of news. I think the biggest one, Nick, that we should get out of the way, because I saw people haranguing you in the chat. Gears 6. Rumored to be coming to the June showcase.
Yep. Makes sense.
It's a funny looking collection, bro. Huh?
What?
It's a funny looking collection, bro. You know, a 6. That implies a sequel of some sort and not a collection of Gears of War
Yeah.
games. What's going on?
Maybe both will be there. Maybe both.
will-
Or wouldn't it make more sense? Like, it would be weird to announce 6 before the collection.
What if it was, and for all our PlayStation fans out there, we've got a collection for you! no.
Yeah. It would, unless they do it in a way that's like, here's Gears 6, but before Gears 6 comes out, guess what we've got for you?
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be something like that.
Be nice. It'd be
I don't
nice.
know, but it makes sense. Yeah.
It'd be like when they did
it's gonna
Gears
be
Pop
interesting.
before Gears 5.
Yeah. Similar thing. I wonder if they'll do it the same way.
With all the wrestlers and everything again. Down in a dungeon.
Yeah, I just wonder if they'll do it the same way.
Yeah, maybe they will.
I did install Gears 5, so we can play through that and Hangouts at some point if you want. Get that. Get
Okay,
Hive
cool.
Busters, especially Hive Busters. Be fun. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Try and drag Nick in and not be able to.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited. You know, like Gears always led the charge on, you know, what Unreal Engine and what the consoles could do. Like, you know,
It was the Fortnite. It was Fortnite before Fortnite, as in that's what Epic used to use to show off Unreal Engine.
Yeah, do you remember like the Meat Cube demo and all of that stuff, and they're really showing off all the capabilities? And it was a transformative moment in the 360 gen when Gears of War dropped. You know, incredible marketing campaign, the best advert and music choice ever.
Still the best video game trailer ever, Mad World.
Yep,
Still the best one.
I can't really disagree, to be honest with you.
I was playing about 40 minutes.
Yeah, you're
I don't
contrarian
really feel
like
it, but I
that.
can just say it if I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Why? What do you think's the best video game trailer?
I haven't thought about
joshing
it for a
his-
second, but I just want to disagree because John said he couldn't disagree.
Couldn't disagree, and Jesse
Wrong word.
can if he wants.
You would say I would not disagree, John. Okay, everyone's mad at me. Go ahead.
Where's
but
Blind
yeah, like-
Riot when you need him?
Yeah.
Banned forever.
He'll sort us out. But Gear 6, could it be transformative in the same way? Or, you know, will this not just be a graphical showcase? Will this be, you know, them using Unreal and showing off AI in a new way? Was like one theory I'd heard bandied around, right? So
I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft is infusing some AI stuff into all their upcoming games.
It is the buzziest of buzzwords, that is for sure.
Yes.
What is AI? What is it going to do? No one actually knows, but let's just say it about everything and away we go.
I mean, AI in some fashion has been in games
yes.
since
The
forever, even though a lot of
large
it's
language
faked
model
and,
version stuff. Yeah, it's just, you know.
yeah. But I think this is more the Chat GPT AI.
do you know what I like?
in-
I like to imagine, you know, the TikTok
What?
lady. These guys are always on my mind. You know, that AI, like there's going to be Carmine's going to sound like that. Hi guys, that's what I want.
So
Or they
all
get
the
the,
all the
"Hey,
NPCs in Gears, all the NPCs in Gears will just be AI like that, like ChatGPT.
Somebody was trying
AI.
to do that with AI in Skyrim, and then they realized it's just really boring. Like it doesn't. It can help assist as a tool. It cannot replace anything yet, though. It's nowhere near that for actually, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
We in fact had an AI
that
that sounded like Morgan Freeman.
I will.
Yes.
I will say, if there's one thing you can put your house on, it's that Gears 6 will be like
Hideous.
the best looking thing around at the time it comes out.
Hellblade 2. Like that's
Gears
a
6 will look
contender.
better.
You think Gears
Gears
6 will
6
look better
will look
than
It'll be more. It'll be bigger scope. So while Hellblade will probably
right.
have the direct, you're very much focused on a couple of things in every scene, and it's just the best couple of things you've ever seen. Like this combat, everything is because what they're going for is that super grounded look and feel and interactions in Hellblade, which is not what you get in a Gears game. Gears game is huge and bombastic and over the top, and everyone's 700 pounds of muscle. Like it's so you can go so much bigger with it, especially when the team's way bigger and all that stuff. I think they'll, in their own ways, both be rather goddamn impressive.
Yeah, and I wager that Gears 6 will probably be 60 as well.
Maybe.
I hope so.
I'd
As
be
a
shocked if they
shooter,
don't have
I think
60
they
in
go for
Gears
it more.
6.
Yeah. When you're
Yes.
moving the camera
That's right.
yourself all the time, 60 matters so much more. So
I mean, if Gears 5 looked as good as it did,
And it runs at 60.
and it ran at 60,
Not
like
on
they
the
can
one.
do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. For the console it
Did
was
on One
originally
X.
made.
Did on One X.
Yeah, One X. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
We'll
no
see.
One X this time. The Series X is already the mid-gen refresh. We'll have to see. I think they would go for it in a shooter, especially if they get like frame gen or anything working, because we are going to start seeing frame gen. Frame gen can't get you from 30s and 40s up to 60, but if you're in the 50s, it can get you above and have a solid 60. Like, so a lot of people always point to frame gen. Frame gen can smooth out if you're already close, but something like Starfield, and you're in a city, I can't imagine that's friggin' in the 50s. Like, it might be out in a facility somewhere where frame gen can really help there. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do, because they are so damn good at it every time.
I hope it's better than 4 and 5.
Well, 5 was great. Better than 4. You saw what they did with
They'll
Highbusters.
both.
Five
they'll
five
both
was
kind of meh.
5 was great in parts, but in my opinion, it had some filler with, like, Gears for me was never about fighting robots, and I think probably one of the worst additions they made to the lore was all of the robot stuff. It's just a personal taste thing, but it lost some of the visceral brutality.
Even
of
the semi-open
Gears
world
combat.
stuff, man. Like,
I didn't mind the semi-open
on.
world stuff. Like, some of that I found quite refreshing for a Gears game.
it's not Gears.
But yeah, I'm looking forward. Hivebusters was peak though. Hivebusters
Semi-open
was
world
fucking-
stuff was also
Ghostbusters
very
was
short.
Great.
Like, semi-open world stuff wasn't long. It was just a way to funnel you to the linear stuff. It didn't become like a clear the map. It was a very condensed hub zone more than open world.
I will always. That's why I said semi. I will always hope for that day that Gears goes more survival horror.
God, no. Survival
I'll
horror means you
always
don't have any
hope for
goddamn
that.
ammo, and I hate that. No.
No, see, and you're
That is
taking
survival
you're
horror.
taking it too strictly. I know. I said more survival horror-y, like more in that direction.
More
like
horror then.
tighter, more intimate, more focused, more horror.
Uh-huh.
Like what Mad World teased in that trailer that we didn't really get outside of glimpses in Gears 1. That's what I'd like.
So
Like,
more
imagine what
tonal,
the coalition.
not gameplay as much.
Yes,
Okay.
a bit more tonal and a
Yeah.
bit more level design,
Mhm.
as in tighter, more intimate, more focused, hyperlinear, hyperlinear. Like, imagine what the coalition could do when they don't have to, like, you know, worry about open world this and that. Just this nice. Oh god, it would look incredible. It would probably blow Hellblade 2 out of the water.
I'm hyped to see whatever they build. Like, do not sleep on the coalition. They are one hell of a development team.
Oh yeah.
Like, and they've been quiet for a while. When did Gears 5 come out?
2019, and then it was 2020
2019.
for Hivebusters, and they've just been working on their fork of Unreal Engine, helping State of Decay and Halo and a bunch of other games. Like
The Matrix demo.
they've been busy. They just,
Can't wait.
If anyone knows Unreal Engine better than Epic, it's the Coalition. It's
And
like the
formerly
one
Rocksteady.
studio in the world that
Yeah.
knows Unreal probably as good or better than Epic.
their version
love it.
of Epic of Unreal, along with Rocksteady's, were always just like above everyone else. And Suicide Squad is still there with how good that game looks, while still hitting 60 and everything. And their motion capture
To the point
and stuff, like the faces.
to the point where I think they had input on Unreal Engine, as in certain stuff they modified ended up in Unreal Engine proper. Like, they're just, oh man. Like I said, I'm not a massive fan of Gears. I'm not a massive fan of Gears 4 and 5 as games, but visually, they're Jesus, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Speaking of unbelievable, we obviously also had all of the Hellblade 2 previews drop. Resoundingly positive from across the board.
now.
So
For
positive.
now,
Well, interesting. Let's talk about this, right? It was resoundingly positive because very few outlets got access to this preview building, right? It was a very selective program. There were some Spanish, French, German-speaking content creators that were invited, and there were some big outlets. So IGN, Games Radar, GameSpot,
Yeah.
and one more that I'm forgetting, but someone can remind me. All of them, like, wow, this is a visual spectacle, blah blah blah. All the outlets that didn't get invited instead ran with headlines. Instead of like Hellblade 2 previews have dropped and they're all positive, they ran with headlines of Hellblade 2 is only 30 FPS and Tamim left the studio 2 years ago.
No, they made it seem like he just left.
That's the clue.
Yeah. Like,
He's
Tamim...
been checked out for a while.
It was a year ago. He was like, look at what's going with Hellblade, because he's still way into it. Like, it's all his friends, people he hired for the most part. Like, it was his studio. The game was his baby. He stayed on for it, so he was still hyping it, but he wasn't actually there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the day-to-day and the hands-on, he's been gone. Quote unquote.
He said he was going to be done
for
after
a while.
Hellblade, but then he stuck on because he got a lot of money, probably.
Like,
Yeah. Big chunk of change. Like, good for him. Like,
yeah,
he's got his Lambo and he's out. Like, it's not a big story.
I expect post Hellblade 2, his Instagram will be full of photos with that Lambo in Santorini and
It already
Mykonos
is, man. He has
and-
been living it large.
Yeah, that's
He
what
has
I
been
mean,
having
like-
a very good time.
Look, you guys know me. When a head of a studio leaves an Xbox studio, I tend to get a little oof about it. But this one, I was like, nah, man. Tamim's been gone for a while unofficially. Like,
Yeah, they just
he's
didn't
been
make
enjoying
a
the
big
high
announce.
life.
Yeah.
No.
Before we dig further into Hellblade, there is a super chat from Assassin Entertainment, executive producer.
Yes. Gears fans, finally, it's been 5 years. We've waited so long. Fable and Perfect Darks fans, am I a joke to you? Banjo-Kazooie fans.
Thanks, Assassin. But yeah, like I read through all of the Hellblade 2 previews.
You bolted through all of them while gaming?
Yeah, really, really sounding like my kind of game. Sure, it knows exactly what it wants to be. Isn't messing around. Isn't padding it out. I am very keen to get my hands on this. I did see one video, and I didn't see their preview when the previews originally dropped. I think it was from Gaming Bolt. And the reviewer or the previewer was like, "I sure wish this comes to more."
He's basically port begging.
The first minute and the last minute, it was like, even this one might be a Game of Year contender, even though it's not on PS5. And then at the end, these devs deserve to have their game on more consoles. I was like, it's a first-party game.
Shocking.
If Xbox wants to do that, they'll do it. But I mean, it's not the normal thing. Like, it doesn't. I get it. So this one is different in that the original was a de facto PlayStation 4 exclusive for like a year or so. Then it came to everything else, but they've owned them for damn near the entirety of making this game, giving them all the time and resources, building new studios, all this stuff. It's like, yeah, it would be great if every game was everywhere. We'd all be super happy, especially if the hardware was similar enough where it makes sense, and it kind of is now, with it all being x86. But in the end, it's not the norm. You don't normally see this or hear this in a preview of a game where it's like, man, this looks so good. I wish it was on a different console, though. Ugh. It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to happen again. Just like Starfield.
what was the other one of the phrases used in the preview? The most important Xbox exclusive this year. They're all
It's gonna
important.
happen again.
Do you think it's going to happen again?
And that 30 frames gave them the window. That's the window they needed. That's the little gap they needed. That
plus,
30
like,
frames.
The
Don't get me
first
wrong.
one wasn't
I'm
super high rated, so it's like, it's not like the first one was a 90. The first one was like low 80s, high 70s for the
in
most
the
part.
80s.
Yeah.
I think it was in the 80s.
So this one obviously looks more ambitious and all that type of stuff, but again, it's on the wrong. It could potentially be on the wrong console because it is the right genre. They can't just write it off if it's high 80s or low 90s because it's not a racer, it's not a flight sim, it's not a Metroidvania. Those don't count. But this one does. It's a third-person
First one's
action
an
game.
81.
Yep.
The first one's an 81.
It has a
Which is
lot of
really good
Metacritics
score
because it
for
had a
normal
lot of
people.
re-releases on a lot of different platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the genre they want, just not on the box they want. So let's see how it goes. And it's 30 frames. And don't get me wrong, I'm now not interested because of 30. I'll wait for a 60 patch. Like, I want to see how it looks. Like, I do. I want to see how it looks, but I can't do 30 anymore. I just can't do it. And then the black bars as well.
It's
think
not a shooter.
Man.
If it's an action game. It's very different when you're not constantly controlling the camera. I don't think it matters as much as long as it's the good 30, which it very much seems to be, that smoother 30. If you don't have the reference for 60, it feels way better. I can play Starfield on Xbox, no problem. If I haven't played it on PC recently, because then I'm like, shit, I'm playing 120 locked. I wish I could have that on the freaking Xbox, but alas.
Yeah, like honestly, I don't think it's not going to be the deal breaker that many are purporting it to be. But like,
I don't think it will be for the majority, but I'm just saying for me personally.
I get it. I am going to play this at as many frames as I can get my rig to push it out. But my point to you would be, if frame generation and frame rate is so important to you, don't buy a fucking Mac, bro. Get a PC. That's where it's at.
I don't play games on this thing.
Yeah, but my point to you is, instead of it's only 30, do I even want to touch it? You just load up Xbox Game Pass app on your PC, click,
and you
60
you
FPS.
just get a little decent HDMI cable to go to that TV right next to you, sit on the couch with a controller, you're good to go. It's like playing on a
Bish, bash,
console
bosh.
anyways.
Like, how much do you use the MacBook Pro, really? Could you just sell it, get yourself a decent little rig?
We need that NZXT deal.
Sponsorship.
Yeah.
I had a Surface Book. I had a Surface Book, and it kept letting me down. Remember that time, 5 minutes before the podcast started, and I'm DMing you like the Surface isn't turning on. The Surface isn't turning on. This Mac, mate. Have you in the last 2 years? Have you heard any problems?
Yours were actual issues and emergencies. John's were just he forgot to let his PC update all the time. Those are fun. Oh, my PC's been updating for 2 hours. Can't do the show.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I know.
John.
Jesus. Yeah.
We got a super chat and a super sticker.
Super chat. Risk it for the biscuit. It's also not smart to write off a game if you're not sure that it won't end up on your favorite platform. This won't get fully taxed. Yeah, they're holding out hope. Lotus Esprit as a
He's back.
super sticker.
If you're listening, Lotus, I did send you a message on Patreon because I think you joined our executive producer thing, but I don't know if I remember you saying you'd never done Patreon before. I don't think you're like recurring in it, so you're not earning the merch. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Just bear that in mind. Like, if you're expecting merch to come, like it's a subscription-y thing. So just a heads up, just a warning. You don't have to. I'm just letting you know in case that was in error. But yeah,
like I said, I hope again. I'm sure there'll be a 60 patch down the line, but I hope it doesn't get like I hope it gets the score it should. Like, I enjoyed the first game. I liked how short it was. I liked how focused it was. And I played the first game at 60 on Series X. I know it's a walking sim and all that sort of stuff, but I can't go back to 30. I just can't. I can't do it.
okay.
Until the next Nintendo console comes out.
Yeah, and then you'll be like, 30 FPS.
Yep.
Look at that begrudging admission. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Doesn't anyone else find it odd that like that in terms of next gen only games, Microsoft is the one that has released the 30 frames ones?
Because they're the only ones that have done actual next gen games. So like, it was Starfield, Redfall, Hellblade. Starfield, CPU bound, couldn't be on the old gen. Redfall, going for the huge open world thing like Gotham Knights did, couldn't be on the old gen. And then Hellblade 2, trying to push graphics more than ever. And I don't think PlayStation's actually had a game you can point at and say, that couldn't be on last gen. Ratchet & Clank's the closest one, except for people... It had a gimmick for that reason, not a graphical or CPU thing.
Well,
it just had a loading thing.
I would also say that
Hi-Fi Rush was 60, but...
every one of PlayStation's big first-party games. So, and I'm going to limit this to God of War, Spider-Man 2, so Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, have all been iterations, evolutions of existing.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so and they were cross-gen, like, and that's why they're able to get them out quick. Now they're in the position of, you know, do we keep developing for PlayStation 4? They're in the same position Microsoft are. Unfortunately, Microsoft are a little bit more communicative about it. I can't wait to see over the next year, 2 years, all of the stuff that's going to unfold in this industry, because it is changing. Things are going to go down.
I'll hold out hope for a 60. I mean, Redfall got a 60 patch. I know, very different, but still, Hellblade's a very small, focused, linear game.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Surely they can get 60 in there down the line.
Well, I mean, if they wanted 60, they could do it now. It's just about cutting down their graphical features. Like, they just chose, nope, it's too important for what we're doing for this game. The graphical fidelity matters a lot because of the type of game it is. So 2026 Xbox, their whole forward compatibility thing we can get into, like, that would be when you might get 60. Not this generation, most likely.
Super chat from Assassin Entertainment.
Yeah, the problem with Hellblade 2 isn't the 30, it's the lack of an option for 60. That's right. Doesn't matter if it's a shooter. Going back to 30 is like putting water in your eyes and looking left and right very fast. That's what I mean. Like, the option. If I want to reduce the graphics, then let me reduce the graphics and get 60.
We also had another super chat before that too. We can get to.
We did. It was a different topic.
My apologies.
This one was on topic. We'll get to it.
Spartan P451. Sam Lake has been posting videos in Japan this week. Some at Kojima even being captured. Fingers crossed for an appearance in OD, whatever it is.
Yeah. I've seen him like sipping coffee, surrounded by all the cameras. Like, so he's being scanned for something. And OD is meant to be.
A lot of the celebrity scans were Death Stranding 1.
Death Stranding 2.
But
yeah.
I mean, it could be either. It could be both. Knowing him, why not?
Yep.
He loves his celebs.
He does.
Eh?
Yep.
Kojima.
Loving the celebrity life.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. When I saw 30, I
as soon as I saw the
dropped a
footage
little
for it
bit.
originally, I was like, it's going to be 30. Like, that was known. No doubt in my mind. And in some ways, like, Xbox fans, sometimes, you know, like, you guys are your own worst enemy. Like, for, you know, in the Twitter bubble sphere of you not wanting to deal with nonsense, you make just as much noise as some of the plonkers occasionally do, and then you just help propagate the 30 FPS silliness. But, you know, I get it. It's a personal preference. All games should run at a minimum of 60, in my opinion. But this is a console. This is what you get eventually at some point, because the eye candy is the most important aspect to sell the game out the door.
It's a $400 4-year-old box that was essentially a 2070 Super at the most, with an okay CPU and a low watt, TDP. You're only going to get so much.
But that's why I said very early on, I said we'll need mid-gen refreshes. Said we'll need them.
They went up to you.
I think we'll always
They're
need
doing
them.
Instead of a mid-gen refresh, they're just doing a whole new gen.
I don't know if I like that either.
No, rolling generations is the way, because it works in every other thing.
Speaking of which, article over at Windows Central.
Before you do that, risk it for the biscuit with another super chat.
Oh, yeah. Totally disagree. The type of game matters.
Yeah.
It depends on the person. I want 60 for everything. That's just me. That's just my preference. I want 60 for everything now. I can't go back to 30.
I'm the same.
I just can't do it.
That's why we have
Jump over
PCs.
here.
I just can't do it.
You will be a PC gamer
if you can.
once we get a deal for
That's
it.
great.
Yeah.
More power to you if you can play at 30, but I can't anymore. Once I started playing Fortnite and Rocket League at 120, that was the moment 30 became a slideshow. because I used to say, oh yeah, 30 slideshow, way to over exaggerate. Because I used to switch between 60 and 30, which wasn't quite as jarring. But once you've gone 120, once your eyes have seen 120, then 30's just a slideshow.
I can see it's not a super chat, but Assassin Entertainment in the chat tells us it was 60 was the standard in 2013, and that's what it should be. And I think there is a degree of the marketing coming to bite them in the behind, because you know the realities of development is always going to be at some point you'll max out everything it's capable of, and you have to make a choice as a creator about which lane to go for, 60 or
And
more bells and whistles.
Most games are 60. The vast majority on the platform.
Technically, that's true. It's just, you know, sometimes the really big ones, if they're really pushing those bells and whistles, they drop it down. And by making a big deal about this is how games are going to feel, I understand. But, like, it just is what it is, man. You know, like, it's just video games. It's okay. You know? Cinematic.
It's funny. People want to make fun of me and say, oh, but you play on Switch. Outside of the Zelda games, and mind you, I haven't gone back to Tears of the Kingdom since launch. Outside of the Zelda games, most of the games I've played on the Switch have been 60. Super Mario Odyssey is 60. Mario Kart 60. Super Mario Odyssey is 60. New Super Mario Brothers was 60. Mario Wonder was 60. Like, even the Switch pulls off 60 with most of its games. So you can say, oh, haha, Switch. No, plenty of games are 60 on Switch. Outside of Zelda, all the ones I've played are 60.
Yeah, a lot of the bigger, their ports and all that stuff are never. But the actual first line Nintendo ones that are very small in scope generally and just really about the mechanics and all that, yeah, they can push it harder. Again, it's about the type of game you're trying to make. So the genre, the scope you're going for, the systems involved, all that type of stuff. Certain things just hit at the frame rate more than others. It's not always just a lower some settings and you can have 60 type of thing.
I don't know.
But yeah, you were saying Windows Central got a very cool exclusive today with, I think, a copy of
via some emails.
Yeah.
Via some emails that they got a hold of, eh? And then they verified those emails, apparently, with Microsoft. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But yes, apparently Sarah Bond has got set up a team for game preservation and forward compatibility or something like that.
Yeah, like, so Sarah Bond has dropped out a mass email. It's been nearly 6 months since we came together as an organisation. Our collective achievements in that time frame are tremendous. Everyone should feel incredibly proud of what we've achieved and excited about the opportunities ahead. We're moving full speed ahead on our next generation hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation.
Technological leap. So many people keep ignoring that word. Remember how I keep saying they choose their words carefully? They say technological leap, because that doesn't mean power.
That does not mean power.
That doesn't
necessarily
mean power. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be so powerful. No. Technological leap. Not performance leap. Not power leap. Not technological. That whole statement, that whole article, you know what that tells me? Again, that's how I'm interpreting it. Next gen is coming way sooner than we thought. They're going to switch to ARM. That's what that tells. If they've got a team dedicated to the forward compatibility, if they're doing that again, do you need a full-on team dedicated to that if you're sticking to the same architecture?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
You've already got the hypervisor stuff. You've already got all that stuff.
It's a fair supposition.
I reckon they're going to go, because we heard about the portable.
Yep.
So I reckon we're going ARM.
Yeah, it's funny because I wrote today that they talk about in the official podcast they did after all the 4 games and all of that jazz, that later this year we've got some exciting hardware to announce. And I'm like, I focused on the word exciting. Now, do I consider a digital Series X exciting? No. And then I think to Project Scorpio, which was announced 18 months before it actually hit retail shelves, are Microsoft at that June showcase going to lay out their vision about what that next generation technological leap is going to be? Because that is exciting. That does change the game a little bit for me.
The digital edition might not be that exciting, but you got to remember there's a lot of alt-right chuds out there, and it's a white box.
It's white. Yeah, well, they can get in the bin.
They can finally be proud about it.
But yeah, like I agree with you. Like, you know, why build a team focused on ensuring a transition between you know, one gen to another forward compatibility?
There's a shit ton of work to go into it.
Yeah, makes sense.
I reckon they've switched to ARM.
Yeah, perhaps so. Later in the email,
and another one. Sorry, I was going to say, and another one that Moham said in the chat, AI as well.
Dedicated AI chip, yeah.
Is it NPU they call it? NPU?
I've got no
Neural
idea.
processing unit.
Ooh, it sounds like Cybernet
AI.
systems, Cyberdyne.
AI will play a massive role, like with upscaling and with frame generation, all that sort of stuff. And there'll be a lot of stuff that the hardware's doing in real time using AI. That's why they're talking technological, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because the focus now, and it's the right move, right? Because the buzzwords around teraflops, teraflops don't mean shit anymore.
Well, we've proven that this generation, haven't we?
Yeah. Like the focus on resolution and teraflops and transistors and yada, yada, yada. That's not what's key now, right? The technology that we have, we can upscale images and do all kinds of crazy stuff to give developers more control and give us smoother performing 60 FPS products, hopefully, at the end of it. But she goes on in the email, because obviously 6 months since we came together as an organization, 6 months, Activision Blizzard, right? That integration, I think they said they spent $1 billion in that first month of integration between the two businesses. So Sarah Bond goes on to write, we are integrating Activision Blizzard King titles into our service. We launched Diablo 4 into Game Pass, and Xbox has quickly become the #1 platform for Diablo 4 players, integrating with Battle.net, also while launching COD Warzone Mobile and preparing for the upcoming Hellblade 2, Avowed, and Indiana Jones and the Great
Did you
Circle.
call it Battle.net?
Battle.net.
Thank you.
Sorry,
we're gonna get.
I just read it out loud. I was reading. I was just
Isn't
reading.
it Battle?
Okay?
Well, there is a
Battle.net.
dot in there.
It's Battle.net, but it's
yeah. Battle.net is the website, but everyone calls it Battle.net.
Yeah. I was just reading. Don't judge me.
But people are gonna get mad at us. But also,
but yeah, that's an incredible statistic.
And a main reason why they are taking their time, because the Battle.net servers were struggling quite a bit the moment they had the influx of Game Pass users. And if they're going to be doing things like the Modern Warfares and stuff that are all still reliant on Battle.net in the background, they got to spread it out a little bit. Some of the older stuff that isn't server reliant maybe can get thrown here and there, but a lot of that's not on Battle.net. So then you have to do a port from the Steam version to the Microsoft Store. But yeah, Game Pass is very big, despite it might not be growing the way they want, but it is very large. So it is, I think Phil has said before, it's not just flipping a switch to put a game on there. There's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Haven't you heard? Xbox Game Pass is eventually going to hit 200 million plus subs eventually.
Get packed.
According to an industry analyst.
Well,
Analyst.
200 million. I always said they'll be stoked if they can get to 50. I've said that from day one. They would be stoked.
Ooh,
if
I'm the
they
biggest
can get
fanboy
to
ever.
50.
Oh, thank you, Last Action Hero. I don't know what I just said that was
true.
fanboyish, but sure.
What?
I don't know.
God knows. It's the trolls are out tonight, people. The trolls are out tonight. Yeah, it's
Assassin Entertainment's got a super chat. Is the goal to make development on future hardware easier than PlayStation using ARM, like how it was easier to develop for the 360 than the PS3? Well, again, another thing I said. Don't worry about power. Worry about making your console development environment the easiest one there is. Because that's what's killed them, the last two. That's part of what's killed them the last two. Devs just found it easier to develop for the PS4 and the PS5. And to get... It's what was great about the 360. Yes, the PS3 was technically more powerful in terms of raw power, although it had some serious bottlenecks with shared RAM and all sorts of stuff. But the 360 was so incredibly easy for developers to get the best out of, and that's a part of what made it successful. It's no coincidence that the 360 was the easiest to develop for. And again, I'm not saying that's the sole reason. I'm just saying it's a contributing factor to the success. 360 technically won that gen, easiest platform to develop for in terms of between Sony and Microsoft. PS4, PS5 were easier to develop for. Like... They need, because I'm telling you now, though, I'll be very interested. I'll be watching Digital Foundry very closely. When the PS6 probably ends up being more powerful than the next Xbox, let's see if resolution matters again. I'll be watching Digital Foundry very closely to see if resolution matters again. Very closely.
I don't know if it ever will, but yeah, you can.
Well, didn't matter this gen.
It didn't matter
the last gen.
With a post-resolution
Didn't matter
age.
this gen. Let's see. Yeah, okay. We'll see about that. We will see about that. I have a funny feeling we may see a bit of a retro comeback on resolution.
You were saying about, and I've lost my train of thought now. You were saying before about the, God, why has my brain failed? My brain has failed, Nick.
Chat
It's
has
rare.
broken you. We did
Chat
miss a
has
super
broken
chat
me.
from Risky for the Biscuit, by the way.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay, let's do that.
He was making fun of Nick. I don't want to miss it.
Oh, yeah. Are you fixated on 60 because your age is 60? Ha, 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 ha. Mate, don't remember. Don't forget, I was playing 60 in the arcades, too. Even the Mega Drive had 60 FPS. Mate, we had more 60 games in older generations pre-360 gen than we do now.
Weak answers. You go. Bye.
What?
No, in chat. His answers are way too weak. He can just go away. You got to have a good answer. If you're going to come out with such a strong statement, you got to be able to back it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But yes, I don't know. Again, I wasn't as bad on 30. Like, you got to remember, I love the Nintendo 64, where I was playing games at like 8 frames per second and shit.
When you were lucky.
Yeah, like those games ran like ass. But times change, and so do standards.
Yeah, we've had a very long cross-gen period where there's been a lot, if not most, 60 for stuff. So it's been nice.
It's been great. And 120 as well. It's been fantastic. Like, it's so good.
The next
like,
gen for them, though, is a mature GDK. What does that mean? Because that was the thing that was harder at the beginning, were the tools. It wasn't ready. They were having issues. They had all these things they wanted to do because, like, DirectX 11, like, it was pretty much a back and forth. At first, they took away too much from devs and automated a lot of it, and then devs were like, give it all to us back. We want that control, and they did, and then devs were like, how's this not working right anymore? And so then they found that middle ground, and things are generally running really well on the platform. There might be some genres or choices made by devs where they emphasize or focus on different things. But on the whole, it has mostly been 60 as a standard, with more 120 games than I think most people realize. There's still quite a few on the platform.
Yeah,
there is. There's a lot of 120 games, and it's amazing playing at 120. It's so good. Like, it's so smooth and so fast. It's hard to go back.
Tom Warren in the
in
chat.
fact,
That's what.
if
I
you
was going to say
on,
that's why I instantly bought the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X at the time when they were available. I wanted more games at 60.
Yeah, and if you head to day1.xboxera.com, you can actually filter for a 120 FPS setting, and you can see all of the games that have that listed in their thing. There's not as many as you'd think, but Among Us, Dirt 5, F1 23, Gears 5, Halo
Rocket League.
Infinite.
Fortnite.
Yeah, weirdly
Prince
they're
of
not in
Persia:
there.
The Lost Crown.
They're not in there, but this is Game Pass only titles, so
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Prince
the
of Persia:
overall
The
list
Lost
on
Crown
Xbox
is
is,
another.
I think, over 100.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Tom Warren in the chat.
Tom Warren, I'm looking forward to the Xbox PC. I mean, I'm curious. Let's ask Tom while he's here in the chat. at half midnight in the UK. Tom, what's your opinion on what the handheld is going to be? Because I think it's
going to be an Xbox.
It's our opinion that it's going to be a native Xbox handheld, i.e.,
an Xbox.
You're not running PC versions of games because of the licensing issue that they would have with manufacturers. If they want to bring forward users' purchases onto a handheld, they're going to have to be the console versions of those games, so it's going to have to be a console. But lots of people are talking about this comment around Epic and itch.io and all of these sorts of things being, opening digital storefronts, and people are saying, it's going to be an Xbox PC, it'll allow us dual boot. Do you think that that's a reality, or do you think that that's crazy talk? Because I see that as being some sort of crazy licensing issue in and of itself. Interesting. To Warren, it has to be a handheld that runs Xbox and
PC games. Otherwise, don't bother doing it. What do you mean? Everyone would want a portable Series S. Everyone would want a portable Series S. What do you mean? That they can just plug their expansion cart into and take their games with them.
Tom likes
PC. I would want that. But Tom does really like PC, so maybe he's biased. I don't know.
That's fine. I'm not saying don't like PC, but you've got Steam Deck for that. You've got ROG Ally for that. You've got those products for that.
Making a better
that Xbox
Windows
experience
UI for that would be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make a better Xbox UI for those devices, like the Xbox app, or make a Steam Big Picture mode, Steam handheld mode, make an Xbox handheld mode for those Windows devices. But you've still got to have a native Xbox handheld.
Yeah.
Where it's just a portable Series S or whatever the console of the generation is.
Jodicus, why can't both exist? I think this is the problem, right?
Yeah.
If you have OEMs making ROG Allies and Lenovo Legion Go's, right? Microsoft should absolutely focus on presenting a much better handheld interface for Windows.
Yes,
getting rid of some of the background shit that ruins running games on these kinds of devices. But I don't think Microsoft, this is just my opinion because we don't know, I don't think Microsoft would look at making a catch-all device that is both PC and a native Xbox. I think it's one or the other.
Yes.
And if, in my opinion, if they're going to let OEMs do it, maybe the Surface team does a handheld gaming PC of some section. But if there's a handheld Xbox, it should be a native Xbox console that runs my console library that I own. That's what it should be, in my opinion.
The best way to describe it is, like I said, portable Series S. That's the best way to describe it. It's an Xbox. It's not a Windows handheld.
Jodicus is with us.
Xbox.
He
handheld.
meant Xbox handheld, and then they work on making Windows better for the other OEM ones.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, okay. Totally work on that. Totally make that experience for those devices better. Totally, 100% they should.
I love
they
the
should
name.
Still have an Xbox handheld.
Lucius Augustus, XboxEra member on YouTube, and I love the name. We've been a big fan of the name. Series SP. Series SP just rolls off the tongue. Mwah. Chef's kiss.
But the thing is, if that portable is not going to be part of the series consoles and it's going to be part of the next generation, we don't know what their next dumb naming convention will be.
Well,
since they ruined the chance
you would
for
think
Xbox 5.
It would be a portable Series S. So it would be that gen. Just with some more fancy bells and whistles overall. But it would be like...
I don't know.
That's
not what the rumor is.
The rumor is stupid. They're not doing the same hardware in a handheld and the home system. There's no point in that. Then you just kneecap the home system for no reason. You have a home system that is just a Series S. You already have that. What's the point? It's a stupid rumor. Take that rumor and toss it in the bin.
I don't know, man.
Anyone who believes that rumor...
I'm hearing some weird noises at home right now, like kind of freaking me out, like doors closing, and I'm like, there's no kids here, and it's.
Your
Why
son's
would
sneaking
just
some
an
chalkies.
Xbox handheld even sell well? Are you for real, dude? Why wouldn't an Xbox handheld sell well? Why wouldn't it? Like, almost everyone that currently owns a Series S would probably switch over.
Isn't the big handheld a Steam Deck that's at $5 million? Like it's done great. It's at $5 million. It's always weird to me because people are so over the top with the PC handheld thing. It's like it's still a tiny little market compared to consoles overall, though. Maybe it gets huge, but right now, a console Series S handheld that can dock to a TV would be way bigger than a regular Series S. Like, and that's already doing more than the PC handhelds.
Part of the Switch's success is its hybrid nature.
Yeah.
That's a major reason for its success. Major reason.
Yep, I agree.
Of course, a Series S portable would do well. It would actually give them somewhat of a foothold in Japan. Like it would probably end up being their most successful Japanese console.
Yeah, especially if they made it small enough and powerful enough.
Yeah.
Oof.
Imagine still being able to run proper Rocket League and Fortnite on this thing. Like all your games run exactly like they run on the Series S. And if you're worried about resolution, well, when you're in a handheld, it's not going to matter. Like the screen is so compressed, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
I don't understand the conversation of some sort of Microsoft sanctioned twin boot Xbox device.
Because I just don't see that happening.
I mean, if they can, the only thing I can say is if they can get around the licensing conversations with third-party developers and publishers, where they're like, oh yeah, when it's in console mode, it's going to be able to run all of the games you've made previously, X resolution, blah, 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 blah. Oh, but the user has an option to just ignore all of that and load into this new handheld version of Windows, and it does these things, and they can go to Epic or Steam or Itch or whatever, right? If they get the okay from everybody to do that, I don't see them being like developers being super keen on the both, but maybe I'm wrong.
And it also means they don't have to develop for a potentially third SKU if it's just the Series S portable.
Yeah.
Because it's a Series S portable.
Be curious to see what the future holds, ladies and gentlemen. Be curious to see what the future holds.
I reckon you're wrong, Risket. I reckon you're wrong. A just Xbox handheld would be a waste and it wouldn't be competitive. I could not disagree with you more. Couldn't disagree with you more. Honestly. I think a proper Xbox handheld would be quite successful. Relatively speaking. Let's not sit there and talk like it's going to be the next Switch or outsell PlayStation or anything like that. But it would be successful, relatively speaking.
It would also be the type of thing that can be subsidized way more than a Windows handheld can be. They don't make money on most.
That's the other point.
It's like, we get to get more people buying stuff on Steam. It's like, no, they want until they've got that everything's everywhere future. They need their store to cover the cost, unless you want to spend the $700 to $800 US that the good handhelds are that aren't as good as the Series S's. Like they're not as powerful as the Series S's. They're just the Steam Deck's way weaker, but it's this cool little console thing that you can push your games to like 40. And it's nice. It's fun. But I mean,
look at the other weird part is you've already got the ROG Allies and the Claws and Legion Goes. Why would Microsoft just want to, like, I know you could say, oh, but Surface. Yeah, Surface is like the premium, super expensive one. If they're going to do a handheld, they're not going to want to have the super premium, super expensive one in a market where they're already getting shit on, are they?
I guess we'll find out, Nick. I guess we'll find out.
And if they want it to be cheap, they're going to have to lose money. How do you lose money? You subsidize, like Jesse said.
Yeah. And Windows
portable Xbox.
Windows mostly comes from OEM partners who make computers and parts and all these things. And if you completely undercut them with a way better, cheaper device of your own because it's yours and you're pushing your Microsoft Store and Xbox experience, then they all get really mad at you and all those. Like they've got a fine line to walk because they're an enormous company. This is a big part of it, but it's not the part of it. Like it's third biggest now or something. It's a little above Windows itself, even though it's dying. Like they've got a tightrope and work their relationships and worry about regulators because you see them taking Teams off of Office because they're getting ahead of the fact that regulators are probably going to be pretty pissed that if you wanted Office, you had to also pay for Teams. Like they're so big that everything they do is scrutinized by everyone. So, yeah.
The Surface is the most expensive version of a Windows laptop or tablet or PC. Like, it's up there. It's one of, if not the most expensive in almost all cases.
And
like,
it was not the best performance at all.
Yeah, they're not going to do that in gaming consoles as well and kill it before it's even started.
I see Tom say,
Like
I think it's obvious the direction they're going if you look at the Phil interviews and the leadership changes. And I agree they want to go there. I just don't think it's time yet. Obviously, I don't know much, but it seems too fast to be able to just immediately push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not viable, not in the near future. They're going to have to start with a proper Xbox handheld. That is where it has to start. An Xbox, not a Windows handheld. An actual Xbox. It's just... And we're also ignoring the Steam Deck. Yes, it's not Windows, but the Steam Deck is the current successful product in that market. And it's not even a Windows handheld, even though you can run Windows on it. Like, they're not going to do it that way. It makes no sense. Yes, maybe in the long term, because I still believe that hybrid consoles are probably the future. I know people keep saying, oh, eventually consoles will go away. I don't think that will ever happen personally. They may evolve and probably all be hybrids. And that would be an amazing future.
I'm down.
If we have Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo sticking to the hybrid thing, I think that'd be fantastic. Selfishly. And
you know, could your handheld play all of the mobile games that Microsoft plan on releasing, like Warzone Mobile and stuff like that?
I
just see Papa Wiz in the chat, in light of your point about Gen Z preferring, you know, like they're not out there pre-ordering $70 games and chucking down money like the old guard that we are. Do we think a handheld is the best option to play to that preference? Maybe. You buy the handheld and it comes with 3 months and you know what you're getting, and they actually work on explaining to people what Game Pass is.
Microsoft's right, but this time I hope they're smarter about... Like, when we saw that Phil interview where he talked about, well, that's not what our Gen Z research is telling us, he's right. Like, anyone who's got kids of a certain age will know that they're not as interested in playing on traditional consoles anymore. They're always on their iPads. That's what they're on. They're on their iPads and they're on their phones. So it's good to see Microsoft... I mean, not that they've ever had a problem seeing into the future. They've always done it, possibly to their detriment, quite often.
Yep.
But so it's good that they understand where the future is going from that perspective. But I think Gen Z would still be open to hybrids. I think they would still be open to hybrids.
Oh, because of Sweet Baby. What?
I think there's a big storm. There's a big storm going on. I keep hearing really weird noises right now. I'm just gonna go check stuff's okay because I'm freaking out here. Be right back, chat.
It was nice knowing you, John.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Tom, it's not about dual boot. Xbox is already Windows. I mean, it is and it isn't.
It's an extremely locked down version that hasn't ever been cracked.
Yes. A fork or whatever. Like, it may be based at a very, very foundational level on Windows, but it's not Windows. Let's not pretend that they can flick a switch and it's like, it's Windows now. No. Look at what it took just to get a stupid thing in 4K. Like, it's pretty much... I'm willing to bet that OS is held together with a fair bit of duct tape and cobwebs. Like... They nudge it a little bit and something breaks. Like, it's not Windows. And let's not pretend it is. No. Like I said, that's fine. You're all entitled to your opinion, despite how wrong I think those opinions are. You're all entitled to your opinion.
That's the main thing I've been saying. Like, everyone wants to predict, and what's your predictions? Like, I have no idea. And I don't think anyone does. If we did, we'd be making tons of money doing plans at these companies because it is so hard to know. Because everything's changing. Like, nothing's going to be similar. It's already changed. People are finally kind of realizing it. And they're in the conversing with themselves to try and keep it the way they are used to and comfortable with. You know, but it's already mostly changed. the way the industry works. We just kept ignoring it. Hey, he lived. He didn't die.
Yep. He's alive.
It's okay. The house is still standing. I don't know what the weird noise is, but it's really freaking me out. Like, scary out there, man.
So, should we get to the remainder of the community questions?
There was one community
go for it.
question.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, I'm
One
pretty sure.
last
Was there?
community question.
Yeah, just my brother.
No,
there
there's
was
more
two
than
at night.
Hytham
you,
and my
there's two.
brother, I think. Yes.
Yes.
Just for
yes,
the
yes.
last, just a sub 3 hour show. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
Yep. Okay. Community questions. Mark 2. Take 2. Whatever. Hit that like button. Hey.
Zang.
Hit that like button. Hytham G. So despite that Rooster Teeth is now dead, as we all know what studio or company is eligible to buy its IP, like Crunchyroll, Netflix, Hulu, and maybe Microsoft, or whatever studios and company I can list, so on and so forth, could buy its IP, we'll wait and see, but your gents take anyway? P.S. My Ramadan is almost over soon until the next Ramadan comes again year after year. Rooster Teeth. Maybe Microsoft should buy Red versus Blue and keep it going.
I just don't.
Oh, they won't. They
Yeah,
won't.
there's no
but
interest.
I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying.
I
Red
don't.
versus Blue was good.
Red versus
the
Blue
early
was good. I had to unmute because I was typing a reply out to Top, and Jesse has to just get in there with a dig.
What was wrong with his forum account?
I had a look, and I did fix it, and it worked successfully because I manually applied the Patreon group to his forum account. But when the API resyncs 4 hours later, it then removes it. So I was just typing a message in the chat for Top on this matter. But please DM me on the forum so that we can have a conversation to investigate Top. But if you have a community question you'd like to ask, please feel free to type it in the chat now, not a super chat, and we will make sure we answer it. Because we love our patrons. Jesse.
Last question to this point, unless Top throws one in somewhere. Jesse brother. Most joyous this 206 panel. I've been thinking, with all this not so veiled anti-Xbox sentiment in the media, you know who would make the best subject of a podcast guest or even a 1v1? Not someone with corporate polish like Phil or Sarah, but Mr. Matt Booty. Not that the company would ever allow it, given a fear of what Matt might let slip and their probably lingering dislike for John. But I'm sure he'd have some harsh opinions if you could ever slip him the old truth serum, which, much like karma, doesn't even exist. So given the incredibly unlikely scenario I just laid out, if you had Matt in front of you and could ask him any question that he'd have to answer honestly, which would each of you ask?
Man.
And he has to answer it honestly.
I would love to. I would love to ask, like, genuinely and get a genuine response, a non-PR approved response. Does it really piss you off that the way the general games media talks about Xbox? Does it? And I'd just like to see him just go off on a rant, just go off on a genuine rant, because wasn't Matt, unfortunately, the one of the leaked emails where he was like fanboy GameSpot reviewers or something?
Wasn't Matt, or was it Phil?
I think it was Matt. If memory serves. Just, I feel like he's got a vibe here. We need to channel into him and just hear more from Matt Booty, Tell us how you really feel, Matt. That's what I want. That's what I'd ask.
What would I ask him? I don't know. Maybe I'd ask him, if you had the time over again and it was your decision, would you still have bought ABK? That's what I'd ask him.
Fair enough.
If you had your time over and it was totally your call, would you still buy ABK? Just got a sneaking suspicion that answer would be no.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out. Be interesting. What about you, Jesse? What would you ask Matt Booty if you had the chance?
Jesus Christ. I've been trying to think. I can't think of anything. I'm not a very good interviewer. That's why I barely talked while Abu was on. I just jump in with snarky comments and information. Hey, look, we got a super chat. Let's go to that.
Quick, change the
Good old
subject. No.
Early start for we Aussies, Nick. What do you take to gain such vigor in the morning? What vigor? I was wrecked this morning and I had not had much sleep. I nearly didn't do the podcast today.
Yeah, like getting a message from you at like it was 5, 6 p.m. my time.
Yes,
I was like, you should not be messaging me right now. You should definitely be asleep. This is a problem. I was like, I
am running on about 4.5 to 5 hours of very broken sleep.
He was trying to set you up for an ad spot
whatsoever.
We'll let you go.
Yeah, I
soon.
don't have any here.
I don't have any here. I think I'll get some.
We'll let you go.
I've got apple smacks though. I've run out of fruity flakes and I've got a bag of apple smacks which I've never had before. So I want to try the apple smacks.
Mm-hmm.
I prepared my control last night. I actually prepared it last night, but then didn't make it this morning because of everything going on with me. And then I'm like, I don't like doing the control stuff when we have a guest on.
Oh yeah, no, it's meant for later.
I get it.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure if we were going to do more like we are now, so I didn't prepare control.
Control does always run at 60 frames per second. That's why Nick loves it.
Yeah.
Tom Warren in the chat says, Nick, they would have definitely still bought ABK because buying ABK was not about growing console.
It's about making a shit ton of money.
Publicly. Well, they say that
because they print money. You took cash that was losing value and put it into an asset that brings in a lot of money in other areas outside of console. We also have a super chat. First time.
A first ever super chat.
Yeah. Just a X123 with a $5 super chat. Been watching you guys for some time now. Just wanted to say you guys are great.
Aww.
And I love the content.
Even though
Thanks,
I am
Chester.
the biggest fanboy out there.
You are a huge fanboy.
And your output should be limited to reviews.
Fanboy reviews, yeah.
The previews.
Yeah.
Next week will be later than.
Yeah. See Black Rider. Do they have any adult flavors? Yes. All the flavors are adult flavors.
He means
why is cookies and cream not an adult flavor?
They're bourbon
flakes. Fruit
mojito flavored
just for children. Fruit Loops aren't just for children.
Pale ale flavored.
Cinnamon toast.
Tobacco flavor.
Strawberries and cream. Like they're dessert flavors. They're not children's flavors. They're
I just wanted to
mostly
reiterate because of the super chat. Really appreciate it, Chester. And we love making the content. And it's all made possible by our incredible Patreon supporters,
John
and our YouTube
despises.
members here, that I absolutely hate. And I just want to say to all of them, I'm not going to do it. I was nearly going to do it. I love you guys. Head to patreon.com/XboxEra if you want to show us some love and help us grow even bigger. Tom Warren in the chat, he says that they would have bought ABK, Nick, because it's not about
I know you said
growing console. Yeah, I know. But do you agree? Because would you argue that the way that it was framed and the conversations and the PR tour, it sounded very much like it was about buying console, because that's what the FTC kind of focused in on, the threats to Sony and others. So it kind of, for the average consumer watching the fireworks, it felt like it was about growing console, right? Would you agree?
I think the way I think it played out was that they weren't always planning on buying ABK.
It was an opportunity, for sure.
I think an opportunity presented itself, and naively is not the word. I shouldn't say they naively went for it, not realizing the headache it was going to be. But they saw the opportunity, took the opportunity, because they thought, oh, here we go. We can own Call of Duty. Because let's be honest, if the FTC... And again, this is just my opinion. If the FTC and the CMA didn't bust their balls so hard, I think we would see a world where COD became exclusive.
What a world!
I think we would. I think we would, because they know for a fact that if they made COD exclusive, all of a sudden Xbox does become #1 in console sales, which then grows Game Pass, which then grows everything else. No, in the short term it does. In the short term it does.
Yep.
Not in the long term.
But there's just it's
in the
not a
long
growing
term.
market. They bought them for mobile because mobile is it's not a super growing market, but it's a much bigger market. They bought ABK for King and COD Mobile and mobile and Diablo Immortal. Like they bought them because it's the only way to get a foothold in the mobile industry now. You have to just buy the ones that are already big. That's like the only way you can get in. So being able to do that was the golden opportunity. The fact it's taking 67 billion that was depreciating in value with inflation, essentially transferring it into assets that immediately make you a bunch of money. Like that is
I know
the point, and
I
the
know
big part of
investment
that.
part.
The big
I
part of that
understand
is
that.
mobile, not console. More mobile, more PC than console.
I'm not saying mobile's not a part of it. I'm not. You're arguing things I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that they saw the opportunity and there was a lot of benefits. One of which would have been an exclusive COD, which would have made Xbox be the one that hits 100 million consoles instead of Sony. Like, you can say the console market's not growing all you want, but the fact of the matter is Nintendo sold 130 million Switches. You're telling me Microsoft wouldn't want to sell 130 million fucking Xboxes?
130 million Switches is less than what they used to do when it was bespoke mobile and home hardware. The Wii and the DS was that both of them were almost 130 million. Then they had the Wii U and the 3DS, and the 3DS still did good, 70 million, really well. But the Wii U hit 13 million, so they had to
But what's
combine.
that got to do with Microsoft?
Because you're saying they would love to have 130, but it was 130 in a very different way, and it's still not as many as what they used to have when they were more
But
diversified.
it's still 100 million consoles.
Because they were
It's
more
still 100 million
diversified, they
consoles.
had a bigger audience. They had a handheld audience and a home console audience that were both close to or above Switch level. Now they only have the Switch.
Again, I don't see how that's relevant. I don't see how that's relevant to what I'm
Because
saying.
you're saying the focus on console more, and I'm saying they're focusing on everything more, with console being a key part of it, but getting to 100 million on console isn't worth it if it hurts you overall. They're not just
But in the
hyper-focused
short
on
term, it
console.
would-
No,
in
the
the
long
short
term is not
term.
console. The long term is mobile and PC growth than more than console. Console has been the same amount of total users for 30 years.
But they'd have both. They'd have both. They'd have the success in mobile and console, long term. They'd have both by locking up Call of Duty. They would have both. They'd still have King and all the success that comes with King, if there's any. But then they'd also have Xboxes selling close to 100 million, which then means you can get to your 50, 60, 70 million Game Pass subscribers and then selling more controllers and selling more. It's a knock-on effect. Yes, in the short term, you will lose some money from Call of Duty on PlayStation.
It's not
in
some.
the short term.
It's a lot.
But
It's a
in
ton.
the long term, you're going to gain those PlayStation users anyway, and they're going to be Xbox owners buying COD getting COD through Game Pass. So you're going to get it back.
I don't think I
So,
don't think even
I-
with
I just
Call
think-
of Duty that way they would never sell that many. I still don't think that would happen. People just go to PC.
I just think they'd be yep, and they'll do it on. They'll get it on. They'll get their money on PC then. That's okay. They'll get their money on PC.
I feel I want to interject just so that I can end the show before it hits 3 hours long. Because this is painful and my brain hurts. And I love
Just
you
saying,
guys
like
dearly.
I just don't see a world where Microsoft sees a chance to sell 100 million Xboxes and goes, nah, don't worry about that. We don't need to do that. Who gives a shit? We don't need to do that.
They would love to do it.
No.
They would love to do it, but they
Phil
can't.
said himself, we're here to be number one.
But
Which
they-
means there was grand plans at some point to hopefully sell 100 million
To
consoles.
hopefully
Then if
make
you're-
more money than anyone.
But if your idea of them doing that, Nick, was by making COD exclusive,
I think they saw an opportunity, and I think they would have had the FTC and the CMA not busted their balls.
maybe.
well,
but we will
because
never know.
we went through the entire thing, and there wasn't a single email or conversation or anything in the millions of documents I handed over that ever even thought about asking the question. There wasn't one.
He's got you there.
It was never a thing they ever talked about ever, and they had to turn over everything. So I don't think they wanted that because they made it very clear they didn't. They wanted to make
Maybe
money.
the discussion didn't have it in emails. People talk face to face too. They don't just email everything.
Submit your brain for scanning to the FTC immediately for your thoughts. It's a thought crime.
Were any of you recording those meetings?
We got a $1.
Give us the audio recordings.
A $1 blue. There's no actual chat in the super chat. But thank you.
Thanks again, Jester.
Oh, thanks, Chester.
Thanks again.
Anyway, we're going to call it. It's been a weird, higgledy-piggledy show because of guests and stuff, but one that I thoroughly enjoyed because Abu was incredible.
He was great.
He was great. He was good laugh as well. Gotta love it. Chat, thank you ever so much for all of the conversation and the love and the mostly good behaviour and quickly pointing out the trolls to us.
I had a Nazi in the chat the other night. Literally,
I saw the
Nazi symbols and then the little swastikas and text. I was
what
like,
is
how
going
does
on with
Google allow
YouTube
that?
right now? Yeah,
And they were
how
just
is
being,
this
it was just a
happening?
bot. They were just saying like bot things. I was like, what the fuck? All right. It was very confusing.
But yeah, next week,
Thanks
Jesse.
everyone for joining us.
Yeah, what have we got coming up on the site next week, Jesse?
That I can talk about. We have two things.
Yeah,
I'm
like that you
doing.
can tease, you can
Okay,
allude
so
to.
I have we have Botany Manor coming from Cengiz, video most likely done by John. That's coming to Game Pass. I am working on Ereban Shadow Legacy. Was coming to Game Pass. They lost their publisher, but it will be coming to Xbox eventually. I'm also working on, I've already done the review for Fallout Season 1. So that comes out, I think, on the 11th. So expect it
He's
around
already
then.
seen the entire show.
Maybe. Also, I'm going to be doing episode recaps. You can have all those up if you want to go through and look at it after you've watched it. That comes out on the 11th on Amazon Prime, the actual show. We have a couple of other super secret things we can't talk about. We also have headlines Tuesday and Thursday to do all the news so that Nick doesn't get all bored and we can have more free-flowing conversational podcasts, which I enjoy.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to do it, and I'll put a post up in the Patreons to give them some heads up. But I think it's time that next week, probably Wednesday, I take a bold leap into deep space where no one can hear me scream like a little girl.
Exclusive for patrons.
Exclusive for patrons. I will be playing through. I don't want to do it. Alien Isolation.
Oh, and YouTube members. I'll get a link for both.
YouTube
Yeah.
members. So let's schedule that for Wednesday for lols.
All right. Just give me a time.
I'm not looking forward
Super
to
chat. We can never get to go.
Super chat. Mohammed Sherez.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah, one during the show, not after the show. Hi, John, Jesse, and Nick, the number one. We'll catch this on replay. Thanks for the stream, guys. Thanks,
Appreciate
mate.
it,
I am
Mohammed.
number one.
Yeah. Cool.
I am.
All right. On that note, thank you, chat, for being brilliant. We'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
Yep. Ciao for now.